Alright, how you doing, Chris Hayes? Alright, so I'm just gonna, for you guys in a minute, I'll share this out. If you've got some kind of social media, then share it out if you can, and make sure to hit the like if you can. But yeah, I'll just share this out, and right. So it doesn't look like Dell's going live. I don't know. He said he were going to be, but I don't know. But I thought I'd just do my own live thing. I usually do one on Saturday night, but yeah, as always, if anyone has any kind of topic to discuss, let me know and I can talk about it. Otherwise, I'll just ramble about some. But it always comes back to what are we, who are we, where, what is this place that we live, that we call Earth, because it doesn't seem like any of these things have been answered, and these are the most kind of important questions. We need to actually know all these things before we can move on, really, because people say that we've moved on now, we're not primitive anymore, we are enlightened, and it's pretty much the opposite. That's the truth. It's that at one time they had a lot of knowledge and then it was wiped, and people are only just starting to actually rebuild that knowledge that was around a long time ago. And I don't know if how much knowledge there was around, because some of it was probably lost and some of it's very well hidden. So people are still finding things from history that weren't really meant to be found, because these elite rulers, they want to keep us in ignorance to what was actually going on. But yeah, so we have Shay Smith, how you doing? Andrew Calvert, how you doing? No, I don't know why Adele isn't on. It did say it was going to be on, and I was like, because when I came home early, because I was on the bike ride for a little while actually, and came home, I expected it to be like a new live event. And I was like, I thought it was gonna, because usually he puts up the event, a few hours before it comes on. So I was like, all right, maybe he's just kind of, busy doing something. Who knows? But he did actually say in his last hangout, right at the end, that they'd be back on Saturday. So yeah, it doesn't look like anyone knows why he's not on, but who knows? It could be anything, couldn't it? Yeah, I just thought I'd start my own. So I usually watch his, but as soon as he's not on, I thought I'd just do my own hang. And yeah, if anyone doesn't know, I'm doing a meetup next Saturday at noon. So I want everyone there it's actually going to be at Heaton Park in Manchester, outside Heaton Hall. And so I want everyone there for about noonish, one at the latest. That's after one is probably going to be like, but what happens if somebody kind of confirms that they're coming, then we can probably hang on a bit longer in case they're a bit late, because if there's anyone coming that doesn't let me know and they don't turn up after one, then we're probably just gonna do whatever we're gonna do. Really, we might go for a walk around or whatever, but that's what we're gonna meet up initially, and we'll take it from there. Really, I hope to do a bit of activism while we're out. Maybe we could try and get something going. Really, maybe we could talk to a few people in the park. Maybe we could put a sign up, possibly. If anyone has any ideas for that, let me know. Sorted. If anyone's nearby, we could try and actually meet up. If you're around this area, we could actually meet up and try and get that sorted. Or you could just contact me and we could talk about ideas and what we can actually do. I don't know, but it'd be good to actually not just have a meetup, but actually do something for Flat Earth while we're there as well. But yeah, that's what I'd hope to be able to do. I'm quite surprised actually that Dell's not on tonight, but especially that he did say that he was going to be on. But yeah, he did, Andrew. Yeah. So is everyone up to tonight or today, whatever it is, wherever you live? Apparently, there's this thing with the notifications where people aren't getting notified till a while after you go live, or something like 10, 15 minutes or after that, even some of them. So sometimes the views don't start coming in till after that. So because it was weird that what was happening with Dread, because he's got 22k subs, and he was getting he was barely getting 100 watching, live, but yet it was getting 100 likes though, or over 100 likes. So maybe the viewing numbers aren't even true. Maybe they're trying to make them look smaller than what they are. Who knows? We'll probably being played by YouTube, try and make it look like it's not as like big of a movement as what it actually is. So I think a lot of people are seeing it. It's just they probably don't want to make it seem like a lot of people are seeing it. Who knows? Maggie M, how you doing? Sheeps and Neeps, how you doing? Goldfish Brain, how you doing? I mean, I'd probably go over to Dell's. I mean, if he comes on, I mean, I'd go over and watch that, but because it doesn't look like it's coming on. Marie, how you doing? Charlie, how you doing? Yeah, so like I was saying at this meetup, I would like to actually get some activism, maybe, if anyone has any ideas for that, because I would like to do something like that. I would like to try and raise awareness while we're doing it. There's a few people confirmed so far, and some of them are kind of, some people have kind of said that they might come there or they might not come. It just depends. So potentially going to be quite a few people, but then there might not be that many. It just depends. There's potentially going to be a few more coming yet, though, because some more people might hear about it. Some people might be coming that I don't know about. Like last time, there was this guy there, and he apparently watches my channel and stuff, and he's seen my channel and he's seen that I was doing this event, and it was from Southport, and I was like, I did not know about this guy. It was quite a surprise, really, that he turned up. But yeah, I hope that might happen, actually, because I get a few people that are a bit surprised, really, that weren't really expected to turn up. Maybe when I was going down to, was it Leamington Spa, I was expecting there to be 30 people, and apparently someone counted 48, but that was like, not all of them, obviously. That was like, maybe half of them or 2/3 of them, maybe. It was more like 65 to 70 people that was there, maybe more than that. And yeah, this stuff's definitely growing because all the meetups that are happening now versus last year or the year before, whatever, then you can tell it's actually growing. Anyone that says it's declining, they're completely mistaken. That it's definitely not declining. It's definitely growing. And if it weren't true, this flat earth thing, then it would just never have even got to where it has. People would have realized it was BS if it were BS. I've seen BOB's been posting about it quite a bit lately, which is good, but who knows? Some are saying he's controlled up. Question is, why is he allowed to talk about flat earth if, he's got all these millions of followers and stuff? It's a bit of a surprise, really. I mean, who knows? Maybe there's some other thing going on. We just don't know. But I think he's brought some attention to it at least. Whatever. P900 cool pics. How you doing? Marie, at the meets, I think there should try to be a speaker talking FE for guests of the flat earthers that don't know much. Possibly, yeah, that might be an idea. But I mean, at the bigger meets, maybe, but smaller ones, maybe it's not as needed. Maybe at the big, like the Leamington Spa one, or maybe the ones you get in like London or Birmingham or wherever. Maybe the ones that are getting 40, 50 people going, where loads of people are bringing their families and stuff and friends, and some of these people don't know much about it, and they bring them along and they don't know much. They could have someone there who can actually be really good at kind of promoting this flat earth to them, and but we don't need leaders. It's just that maybe it'd be good for someone to kind of take a role to kind of but I mean, that could obviously change each time. The other someone else could kind of occur for everybody. I don't know. At the Cardiff meet, someone turned up with friends that knew nothing. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I hope that maybe at my meet I would actually get some people that are kind of newer to it. Kind of that they haven't actually looked into it or not much. Maybe people that are just into kind of alternative stuff, like they might be into UFOs, they might be into, well, UFOs isn't that alternative anymore, is it really? But anyone that's into any kind of conspiracy type thing, like if they're into like the David Icke type stuff, or they're into kind of anarchy, they're into like different things. They might be into like like fourth dimension and all this kind of like stuff, because it'd be good to bring truth seekers and different people together, like people that are into different things, but they're all they all know that there's corruption going on, and they know that the governments are hiding things and they're lying about things, and they're just evil at the top of it. That's what we want to unite people. And even if we can't get everyone to agree on everything, if we can all start to kind of work together to try and like build a new structure, maybe one that's more kind of open, because one that's more kind of, I suppose, liberating. We want to kind of, because if we create something and if it could, you know, attract enough people, then the old one would become obsolete. Like that guy was on Sun and Moon group the other night. He was going on about this cryptocurrency thing. Well, I don't really agree with that, to be honest, because I'm not even sure any kind of money is the kind of way forward, to be honest. But I think I like his idea that, you know, about, you know, sort of, you know, having sort of initiatives, like, and kind of, you know, trying to kind of basically what we do is we take some of the ideas that, you know, what they're doing, but they're obviously doing it for, you know, corrupt reasons. But what we do is we do it for like the benefit of all, really. Like, for instance, if, you know, you wanted to create like a social media platform, like I was saying, one that would kind of be more kind of just more just all around better than what we have now. But who knows? I mean, I don't necessarily know if that's even really the way forward. I don't know. We just need to set an example, I think, is what we need to do, because we can't just sit here and just you know, the earth's flat to everybody and then the world's going to become a better place. Is it really? Some people just don't even really care, to be honest, no matter how much you tell them about how, you know, they're making us feel insignificant, you know. But yeah. Skyfly Brian, how are you doing? Brenda Von Arson, hi, you should invite me in. The flat earth is dead. No, it's not dead. Flat earth underground, how you doing? Dan W, how you doing? So will you be able to make it then next Saturday? Because you were saying you'd be able to get there, but you didn't confirm if you was actually going to be able to make it. Well, it didn't seem like you did anyway. Goldfish Brain, where are you from then? You say you're a northerner, where are you from then? Let me know, because I just wonder if you're nearby. St Helens, that's it's near Liverpool, isn't it? Yeah. That's about it's not a million miles away. It's literally, because all I have to do, if I was to go there, or, well, I don't drive, but if you was to go there, then I would just, you know, I'd head to Preston, get on the M6, and then I'd be there in about, I mean, if there was no traffic, you get there in about, I don't know, 40 minutes or something. 40 minutes to like 50 minutes or something. But yeah, let me know if you'd be able to actually make it to the meetup, because it'd be good if you could come as well. Try and get as many people down there as possible. Anyway, so yeah, whatever shape the Earth is, we're still being screwed over. We've got to at least agree on that. If people can't at least agree on that, then there's not even really much point talking to them, because it's just going to be pointless. There's not really much to talk about then, is there? Skyfly Variety, Jamie Brown Live, going to Hangouts now to add you, so have a look. Brenda, you're free to talk about whatever you want to talk about on the air. You know, your globe stuff. I mean, that's fine. In chat, you know, I'm not. So that's all you're interested in doing is debating people. Maybe you could find something else to debate people about. What can we talk about? Yeah, so if anyone has any ideas about what we can do at this meetup for like activism and stuff, anyone that might be going, then even if you're not going, just any ideas what I can actually do to try and raise some awareness. So yeah, I made a video earlier in case any of you didn't see it on my main channel. So make sure to go ahead and watch that afterwards if you haven't already. I responded to a globe guy, and at least he wasn't being insulting, you know, like it's good to see like when they're just kind of presenting their evidence and kind of just saying, you know, how they don't think it's possible, and that's fair enough. But you know, obviously the thing that really got me when I was looking at the flat earth stuff was, you know, the fact that there's no measurable curve. Well, some say, yeah, there is though, but like look at Soundly's evidence, look at such a thing, you know, but it's not repeatable though, is it? It's only in certain conditions when it's possible. In certain conditions, the curvature is literally nil. You know, there's like when Ranty went to this is undeniable, guys. He went to Barrow Furnace, you know, which is in Cumbria, and you know, looking out at Blackpool, out to the Mirrorball, and this time there's no debating that it is the Mirrorball. And it was like, this was 19 miles, you know, across the ocean, and there was at night time, so there weren't much, you know, atmospheric stuff, so it's not as debatable as, you know, there's a, you know, daytime when there's all this stuff going on, you know, the refraction that might be happening, and it was literally, you know, visible, right, you know, basically to the bottom. It matched up perfectly to what you would expect to see on a flat Earth. And the globers tend to refuse to look at this stuff, or at least kind of they'll just ignore it, or they'll just say it's refraction, or it just becomes this big debate because then they'll bring their evidence of curve, and it's like, to me, this is all just a distraction, guys. Anyone that hasn't seen that so far, I think we need to kind of stop kind of with all these, the thing is, we should be putting pressure on, things like NASA and stuff like that to provide actual proof. We shouldn't be the ones that have to, if they're getting paid all this money, they should be providing the proof, Instead of what you've got is now you've got these people that are skeptical and they're thinking, hang on, and they're having to kind of pay money. Some of them are still having to pay toward these, NASA stuff, while actually kind of funding their own experiments to try and see if what they're actually claiming is actually true, But other things I'm into, of course, obviously, like I said, I was on my bike earlier, went for a decent long ride, Yeah, it was pretty fun. Like I said, pretty long it were. But yeah, I mean, everyone should just go out and do something at least, whether it be running, climbing, cycling, swimming, rowing, any kind of physical activity, even just walking for long distances, and just do something, because it's going to kind of help you to stay fit. It might make you live longer, who knows. It's better than just sitting at home all the time and just watching TV and just, I know there's, a few people in the flat earth who've just kind of, gotten rid of their TVs, but best thing to do, probably not. If you're going to get rid of your TV, don't sell it, because then someone else is going to get it and they're just going to be kind of still controlled by the TV. So, I mean, people just need to kind of destroy their TVs, probably the best thing to do. Because then there'll be less of them left if people start to destroy their TVs. But then again, we're still on these laptops or phones or whatever people are using, and they might be on a desktop or whatever. But we're still using the devil's kind of platform, really. So we need to take that into consideration. I mean, we're using Google Hangouts. Some of us use it. I mean, some of them just use it to chat in and stuff, but you're still using it. Maybe someone was going on about how maybe we need to create our own platform, like a website that does like maybe videos, maybe Hangouts and things like that, similar to YouTube. Maybe like they might have like everything in one kind of thing, because it'd be good to have like a central place for flat Earth and kind of conspiracy people to come on and kind of talk about their stuff, without everybody. But at the same time, we don't want to make it an echo chamber, and we want to try and make it so that it's kind of attractive to the masses. We want to start to kind of get people to flock over, really. But again, I don't know if that's a way forward. It was just somewhat what somebody suggested, maybe having like a platform like that. Anyway, how are you doing, Multi Tom Tom? Ali B, how are you doing? Levi Foster, how you doing? Plane, how you doing? Right, I think I've right. If anyone wants to come and join me, they can if they want to. But I'm not interested in debates. That's not what I'm interested in doing. I'm just after spreading information. I'm not trying to. To me, debates are distractions. So if that's what you want to come and do, then then don't even bother, because I'm not interested. It's an open platform where people can discuss their ideas and come, bring something new maybe, and we can discuss it. And I think Robert Humphrey said he wanted to come on sometime and discuss something with me. I don't know what it were, but it sounded like that, I think, because he said he can't wait till he comes and joins me next time. Well, as far as I can tell, it has Multi. I think, the evidence that seems to kind of go against it, to me proves that it's not a ball the size they say it is. And I do consider the evidence that they put there, but a lot of it's been debunked. Why would a lot of this, why would very much of the evidence have been debunked? When people like Bill Nye say that, when people like Bill Nye say that you should be able to see Spain from the east coast of America, which is over 3,500 miles away. If you say that you should be able to see that if it were flat, but angular resolution would tell you that you wouldn't wouldn't be able to see it. That in itself would make it impossible, because it's just so far. You would need like 1,000 times zoom or something crazy like that just to be able to see it. And not only that, you would have to like have perfect conditions, which we don't have. Even if there's not any kind of fog or anything like that, you're still going to have other things in the air that are going to affect your ability to see, kind of past a certain point. Not a certain point, but you're going to, after some point, you're going to not be able to see, because there's always going to be that, atmospheric conditions, especially at lower elevations. That's one of the reasons why you can see more as you go up higher, because you're actually looking through less atmosphere or atmosphere. Yeah, don't know about 23rd of September. Don't know about it. Could just be an ordinary day. Maybe the elite are gonna try and create something like an event and make everyone think it's some kind of prophecy or whatever, when it's actually the government that are doing it for some kind of kind of conspiracy thing or whatever. I don't know. Obviously, my mind's open to different possibilities, but that's when I'm going to be having my meetup. So we'll wait and see. What we might not get a chance to have the meetup, because we might all, some of us might get saved by Jesus or whatever. I mean, I don't believe in that kind of story myself. I mean, people can believe in it if they want to, but there's these crazy people who like push it on you, like they're so insecure about their beliefs, and that they shouldn't really care what people, because we'd all get saved anyway. All the good ones would get saved anyway. The ones with good intentions anyway. So why would you care anyway? Just a thought. But I don't really like to talk about those things because they are touchy subjects. I don't really want it to get too much into the touchy subjects, to be honest. Maybe it's kind of supposed to be that way because they want it to be that. It's like even global Earth versus flat Earth is like kind of causes a lot of people to get triggered. It's like, why? People are like, oh, these flat earthers are an insult to the collective intelligence. And that's what they're bothered about, because they're bothered that somehow these people are going to affect billions of people. It makes no sense. If it's not true, then they have nothing to worry about. All is one now. How are you doing? So yeah, make sure to like and share this out if you can. We got 33 watching right now. I always see that number, Maybe it's just that when you come to this, you just notice it. But you notice it more than any of the other numbers, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I'm going to probably put a link to my other channel in case anyone's not subscribed to that one already. Because since I got a strike on my other channel, I can't go live on there till the 6th of November, I think. Which is a little less than 2 months away. Well, a month and just over a month and a half, actually. I can't wait to get back over there. I mean, I hope people are, still subscribed to that one that are watching this. Don't unsubscribe from that channel just because I used to. Well, I mean, I'm doing all right now. I mean, but things were going really well on the other channel. And I could have had 1,000 subs by now. Really, it could have been obviously took off a lot better. How did I get the strike? Somebody just being a douche, to be honest. I think they're just trying to look for any opportunity to strike you, even though it was basically a copyright thing, and I don't see how they could have given me a strike. I mean, someone probably played somewhere, and it was some account, some sock account probably, that I don't know the actual, I don't know how I'd find, because it could belong to, a bigger channel for all I know, and they're under a sock account. It's under a sock account. Well, they're under a sock account maybe, and they're trying to attack the channel. I don't know, but to me, this kind of adds to the proof because obviously people are. Then again, you do get this trolling going on, in every kind of group, don't you? In different music genres and things, and you'll get these. You'll get these like elitist troll groups and things like that just go and troll videos and tell them that they suck just for the sake of it and not give any kind of constructive criticism. But but it seems like that these groups are being attacked worse. But you just gotta do what you gotta do, innit? Just gotta keep this going. LAB, yeah, Brenda is a she. I don't know about that, to be honest. All these people want to do is debate. That's all they've got. They don't want to actually come on and discuss. They want to come on and debate. That's not what it's about for me. So they've come to the wrong place. To me, you debate things like you debate your opinions on things, like if you have an opinion on something like whether one thing is better than the other, and you give your reasons for it, like, you know, and it's all about kind of being persuasive and all that, and I'm just not interested in that. And I just warn anyone, if anyone on any side, you know, on any side of the fence, it's not about debating. And I've had these people come on, and it got sucked into, like, people got sucked into debates and stuff. And like I said, that's not what it's about for me. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying that this topic isn't for debating. Well, people can do what they want. I mean, you know, if they really do want to change their gender, you know, I'm not against any of these things, but I do believe there's probably some kind of agenda, because I don't think it's natural. It might have to do with the chemtrail and things like that, and the conditioning. It's crazy how, like, these 6-year-olds want to do it. It's like really weird to me. That's just me. That's just my personal opinion about that. Andrew Carl, Brenda, you're just here to disrupt the chat. Nothing you say will ever change anybody's mind. Once you know you have been lied to on a scale that blows my mind, and it's not a ball, it's finished the ball. Well, you know, these people don't want to admit it. Some of them will say it's a psyop. Some just don't say it's a psyop, but they just don't believe in it. But you know, I made a video earlier, but it was just a response to a Glober. You know, but when I'm doing the live thing, it's more about different topics and things like that. It's just when people come on and talk about it, it seems to get stuck in certain things and it doesn't move anywhere, and I get a bit fed up with that. So I'm just going to put a link to my main channel in case anybody's not already subscribed to it. I should have probably put it in the description, to be honest, but oh well. I mean, why would it even be needed to be debated anyway? I mean, you know, the globe Earth versus flat Earth, you know, it'd just be self-evident, wouldn't it? So yeah, if anyone wants to come on and discuss any topic in particular, let me know. So a whole list of topics to discuss, and even more. If anyone has interesting to come on and discuss, then let me know. And also, I'll say it again, I'll be doing a meetup next Saturday on the 23rd of September at 12 noon. So try and get there for 12 noon, no later than 1 p.m. If anyone's not there by 1 p.m, but they've let me know that they're coming, we'll hang on a little bit longer. But if everyone's there that we know of by 1 p.m, we're just going to probably just take it from there and just decide to, you know, based on what everyone else wants to do, really, whether we want to go for a walk around the park or whether we want to, you know, do a bit of activism in the park. Maybe I'm hoping to do a bit of that, try and ask a few people about this flat earth stuff. I did ask somebody about it. I mean, I did talk to somebody about it when I was at Blackpool, just for, like, you know, not very long really. And the good thing is I was actually at Blackpool, and you could actually see some of the islands in the distance, and some of the, not islands, but some of the like the distant peaks and things, and they shouldn't have been visible due to the curve of the earth. Explains sunsets on a flat earth. I'd say that one's atmospheric lensing. That's probably the best explanation I've got for it. That's about the best that I can probably come up with, because usually when there's no atmospheric lensing effect, it usually just shrinks to the point where it just disappears. You see some of the videos and they're like, oh yeah, you need a solar filter. Well, you know, and it doesn't change size apparently if you use a solar filter, but I don't know. I mean, I think it was, but yeah, atmospheric lensing, I don't know if that's it, or it might, or the other one is, because Good Times for All did an experiment where I need to watch that a bit more, I think. I don't know if I saw the last one he did on it or something, where he kind of, I think it was like a diffraction thing, you know, the kind of angular resolution where you get like a mirroring effect, and what happens is the mirrored sun, it combines with the sun, and it's kind of squished together. They kind of like compress into like one like single thing. But that I get that's not always what happens. Sometimes you just see it kind of like the bottom half is cut off by the horizon or whatever. But I would say that might, like, again, I'd say that might be to do with atmospheric lensing, because the sun sometimes gets pretty big on the horizon, especially when the air is really humid. But I don't know. Anyway, Brandon Cook, how are you doing? But yeah, these globers have you believe that that the buildings and things that you see in the distance are actually kind of projected, like kind of, so they're almost kind of holographic because they're not actually seeing it where it actually is. And yeah, you do get, and I think that's what could be happening with the the sun and the moon and the stars. Maybe they're not physical. I mean, yeah, of course, buildings and things are physical, but if the things in the sky aren't physical, then who knows? Star trails, if they're not physically in like one position, then that could explain why they would spin in the opposite direction in the south. So unless you can actually go up and test these things and go all the way around them, but we just have to take NASA's word for it because they're so trustworthy. All right, okay. So oil rig 20 miles out at 160 feet high should not be visible. Was that the oil rig that we saw when we were at Blackpool, P900? Because that was like at 20 miles out, I think. And you could see it from, the thing is, the first time we went down on the beach, we couldn't see it. And we went back up and we could see it, and like, that's weird. Maybe it's curved, well, I didn't think right away that it would be, and we were looking, thinking, maybe it's the swell of the ocean that's kind of obscuring it. And then we checked it later when the tide went out, and guess what? You could see it right down on the beach. So that just kind of shows that swell does have a lot to answer for. I think, not saying that it answers for everything, but yeah, I see the smaller things in the distance. But yeah, we can talk about this, for a long time, and it doesn't change the facts, does it? And people just kind of deny it, and because real science has to be observable, testable, repeatable, doesn't it, by everybody? And if it's not, then it's pseudoscience. And if you can't give us a practical example of things that can't be seen, things that can't be seen like gravity, there should be obviously a practical example of it, how it's clinging large bodies of water to a bowl. It's especially when you start thinking about all these different motions and things, the spin, the orbit around the sun, all these different motions. You're from down south, aren't you? Very somewhere. Hang on, wait. But it's kind of been a bit mixed, I think. I mean, we've had some good days. It was more in I think it was more in sort of June time. I think in July it kind of went out a bit, and it's been a bit there's been a bit of a chill in the air the last few days to like a week or something. I don't know. It's not been cold or out. It's been pretty mild, but you'd expect it to be a touch warmer than it's been lately. The weather never is really what you expect it to be. There's been times when coming up to Christmas and it's been like when it's been mild and it's supposed to be like pretty cold then. But maybe the chemtrails and stuff like that, and I can't believe people just deny this kind of stuff. Just look up, it's not natural, guys. Of course it's not. But then it's just it's the fuel. Well, why is it lasting for so long? Clearly there's stuff in that shouldn't be in it. Otherwise it would just basically it would not linger as long as it does. It wouldn't spread out into these cirrus clouds, make the whole sky white, which would have otherwise been a totally blue sky. I don't mind winter myself. I mean, I kind of like it. Where's Sheeps and Neeps been banned? I mean, he's all right, isn't he? Hang on. He's been deleted by the Google moderator team. What the hell? But yeah, I don't mind winter myself. I mean, that's obviously stuff that you can debate because people have different opinions. But as long as you're wearing good clothing, then there's not really much to complain about, really, I don't think. I just like the feeling sometimes when I'm just in the kind of, like on a frosty night, and it's just, you just feel that nice chill, and I just like it myself. As long as it's not like really breezy, I can, find it quite nice. Suppose if you're from the coast, though, it's going to be harsher, isn't it? Because you've got obviously you've got the sea breeze, but it tends to not be as cold at the coast, apparently. Well, at the winter, but it's colder in summer though at the coast. That's supposed to be what it is. But yeah, they've been screwing with the weather anyway with obviously all these technologies and things. HARP. When I was in Paris last year, that was probably around the time when I was actually researching flat Earth. I was just looking into it then, really, and I was starting to kind of doubt the globe model and stuff. And someone was going on about this place where they create clouds to put over Paris or something. Yeah, I just don't like that they're screwing with the natural weather, and that's what I find not good. Because I think at one time you would get more predictable seasons and things. You would get kind of cold winters and warm summers, but you'd like, and that's what they say. Back in 60s, 70s, it was more like that, but then it changed over time. It started to become more unpredictable, so you wouldn't know whether to kind of put a jacket on or whatever. I mean, I went out earlier, I didn't put a jacket on, and when I was on my way back, it was I was like, it started raining, but it was only like for a few minutes. But you just don't know what's going to happen, do you? Off topic here, but anyone looked at the Kenneka Jenkins case lately? No, I've not looked at that. But yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Anyway, how are you doing, Stephen John BA? So anyway, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be on here for. I'm just gonna, because let's see who's live now. Actually, let's see, there's not an awful lot going on right now. I do have Facebook, actually, if anyone wants to add me on there. Just type my name and you might be able to find me. Alright, so we've got somebody sent me a friend request on Facebook. Somebody from Wigan, actually. Let's just confirm that. Someone from Wigan. I'll have to get in touch with this guy. I have to ask him if he'll be able to come to this meetup, actually. Maybe that might be possible. Yeah, it's good to see all these people that are like, not too far away. I thought there might have been a few more hangouts. I mean, there seems to have not been as many lately for some reason. Oh, maybe people have got tired of them. Who knows? I just got another friend request, actually. I don't know who this person is, but John Watson is a mutual friend. I'll confirm. It don't really matter. It's all public anyway, so if there's people I'm not sure about, then, might as well just add them anyway, unless it got big enough to where it was like, I would only just accept the ones that, I kind of knew for sure, but I've only got a small amount of friends up to now on there. Because I haven't really been focusing too much on Facebook much as to, get the truth out. I mean, I've only got 21 friends on my friends list up to now. I'll probably just post this out there, try and get it's probably just another, it will be, because like I said, John Watson's a mutual friend, but it didn't look like there was any posts that were Flat Earth related. So I'm just going to put a few hashtags. As far as I'm aware, the majority of people in Flat Earth believe in some kind of creator, because if it's flat, then it throws out the idea of Big Bang and evolution, really. I mean, some believe in evolution, but not the way, obviously, kind of, I mean, I don't know if it does seem like there's some kind of degree of evolution, but it's not like, as Darwin claimed it to be, where, we have like simple life forms that turn into humans. It doesn't make sense to me. It's more likely that things adapt, kind of microevolution more than this macroevolution, Darwinian evolution. But yeah, I don't think that we're here by an accident. I think all these ideas are to perpetuate the lie that we are here by accident, and this is just a kind of random, meaningless, experience that we are here to learn. Maybe we are here to suffer, like Flatty McFlatface said. Maybe that these evil entities have to exist because we are here to suffer. Like I said, I'm going to share it out over there, because I said, in case we just maybe get able to get a few more over. I doubt it. Apparently people have been getting censored pretty bad on Facebook, though. Oh yeah, because it's Maggie M. Yeah, that's you, isn't it? Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah. So there's a lot of people in the Flat Earth also, they're either veggie or they're vegan or whatever, or they have some other kind of diet similar. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I've been thinking about, because I looked into the whole thing, the whole kind of vegan thing, kind of before I even looked into Flat Earth, to be honest. But I mean, honestly, I was considering it a while ago, but I just never had the kind of I never got that kind of thought to just think, let's just stop eating it, because it would be more of like a sort of process, really, I think. But some people can just kind of stop eating it, but I don't rely on meat. If there's a good veggie dish, I'll eat that, you know. I don't really care. But I do eat junk stuff. And even if you move over to like a veggie/vegan diet, then you can still eat junk food. Obviously, you want to get whole foods and, you know, obviously, you know, kind of organic stuff, really. But some are even saying that the whole organic movement's just like another like controlled opposition movement, because they're just, even though they're organic, they're still not the best. Something, you know, I don't know. Obviously, there's different levels to, you know, obviously the conspiracy and stuff. There's been people saying that it's that's what's kind of, you know, set me back a bit from, you know, going all the way to do it, really, because, you know, there's someone saying that it's like a sort of like a kind of propaganda thing. But then I'm thinking to myself, you know, if it is, you know, like a Depop thing, whatever, then why are the majority of people not doing it? You know, wouldn't that be the thing that's getting pushed everywhere? But then again, who would profit from that? Nobody would profit from veganism. But then again, I suppose like the cook stuff, maybe if people did dishes, I mean, you can make food like junk food that's vegan, can't you? I mean, they could push it if they wanted to, if it were an actual kind of if it were a kind of deception and that it was not like a healthy diet or whatever. But surely it can't be as bad as eating all these burgers and stuff. It can't be as, you know, as bad as your kind of standard American diet. But then again, the British diet isn't much better, but Americans just eat more of it, you know. That's all. It's pretty disgusting now, you know, you think about it, really. It's like all this, you know, these greasy foods. It's just nasty. Like I said, I still eat some junk stuff. I do like eating bananas, though. Those are, you know, nice. Obviously, there's stuff that you can just pick in nature that's good for you. I mean, that are good for you, you know, that are abundant in nature. Because one of the guys that was with us on the meetup last time, he was saying about how that some of these leaves are actually edible, but not only that, they're actually good for you. You know, but there's no industry for any of that, so they don't want people kind of knowing about it. Dave Hinkle, how you doing? Lucifer Tim, how you doing? Fire Stillwater, how you doing? Kind of bad to see that you got kind of lumped in with that whole kind of drama thing, but you know, I think that you're decent. I think you're honest, and you know. But yeah, I mean, it's been a while since I've had you on here. Actually, I don't think I've had you on since I think the last time was probably around my birthday. Actually, so it's been almost 2 months since I had you on my panel. And yeah, we do talk about some interesting things and stuff. Good times for all. How you doing? I need to check to see if you got any new videos. I have to. I've not checked out your last couple of videos, but I do like how you're doing all these like scientific experiments. And you know, to me, that, you know, some of the flat earthers are actually the real scientists. You know, they're actually doing real experiments and actually kind of doing real practical experiments. I mean, not this you know, astrophysics nonsense that, you know, is BS, bogus. Cool. That'd be interesting. Southern Star Trail thing, because I know that seems to be kind of one of the go-to globe Earth proofs. You know, oh well, how come the Southern Star Trails are going in the opposite direction? But you know, we need to bring it back to what shape is the Earth we're upon. You know, and I can understand where they're coming from, because if we were on a globe, that's what would happen. They would, you know, spin in opposite directions. But you would expect on a flat Earth it would just be the same. But we've got to think, well, what other what explanation could it be? You know, like if the stars are actually holographic projections, then you know, more than they are kind of physical objects, then that could explain why they're going in opposite directions. That's probably the simplest explanation I could come up with for that. You know, I don't know. I mean, people have talked about that before. Some are saying it's a reflection off the dome or something, but wouldn't they still go in the same direction? I don't know. People have different theories about it. So it's just that, you know, they're making up a story about what they're seeing in the sky, and somehow they're kind of, you know, somehow kind of referencing the sky in order to kind of prove the shape of the Earth as a sphere. And to me, that's absolute nonsense. But it'd be good if you know, someone in the flat Earth could actually kind of do something to just kind of explain that, because then that's no longer a proof that they can use anymore. Well, I didn't even know about any of this stuff till I came to this topic. I didn't know about any of really much of the stuff about, I mean, obviously I knew, you know, the distances, you know, the moon roughly and the sun roughly, you know, so, well, I knew the sun pretty much, you know, I knew it was 93 million miles, and I knew the moon was about 240,000 miles away. I knew the moon was because I knew about how the eclipses and all that, and it was because I think it was 2015 when it was the eclipse, and when it kind of where I were, it was like, I think it was about 92% or something like that. It might not have been that much. It might have been about, it was between 88 to about 92%. I don't know, but it was, almost like a full eclipse. It didn't go dark much. It kind of went a bit dull, but up in Scotland it went more dark because they got I think in parts of Scotland they had like a full eclipse. But so I was thinking back then, the coincidence of it and how perfect of a coincidence that is. But now thinking about it, it's absolutely impossible. What are the chances? What are the odds? So people argue about, the eclipse, the moon casting a 70-mile wide shadow and all that, and they'll argue about these things. But one thing to kind of debunk the model, the helio model, I would say, or at least, debunk the Big Bang, is that the sun and moon are the same size. Or if they're not the same size, then it's because God made it that way to where it's like it's not a coincidence is what I'm saying. Definitely not, Yeah, I wouldn't really call them all the C word. I mean, I know that you on about the ones that come and troll and stuff. Most of the people that believe in it aren't really kind of that sort of invested in it. They just believe in it because they're taught it. But if they're actually kind of they're contradicting evidence that goes against it, then they might kind of look into that and actually kind of start to kind of consider the alternative. So, these are the people that we need to kind of focus on, because they're not really globers in a way, because they're kind of more just, they believe in it, but they don't think that they know it. They just kind of, because when you see people like Dell and other people, doing these interviews and stuff, people like John Smith as well, he does his interviews, and it's like these people, they just go up to the people and they can't really justify why they believe in it. It's like, it's so obvious that it's a globe, then why can nobody really justify it? Yet you get these people that get so triggered, even though most of them can't even justify why they believe in it. I said the same thing. I don't know why he's not on tonight, to be honest, because he even said he was going to be on. But I was looking forward to watching him actually, but then I was like, I'm not doing it. I was like, I was waiting for a bit. Okay, let's just wait, and then I was like, let's just start up my own, because I think people might want somewhere to go to, because usually they go over to Dell's. I mean, but yeah. So you'll not be coming to the Manchester meetup then, Andrew Calvert? Because I know, because you said you were from Manchester, and it's going to be at Heaton Park, like I said, outside Heaton Hall. So make sure you know where you're going to. So meet out the front of there, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, true. I mean, you'd have thought he might have put a video up just to let people know. I mean, he put a video up, like an activism video up yesterday, but he's not put it out today, so maybe something's happened. Who knows? Because he even said the other day that he was going to be on, but well, who knows? Maybe he is at a footy match, but maybe he could have. Brandon Esteban, how you doing? Bull model is a cult, a mass of people aggressively defending a belief by any means necessary, including spraying us, mercury poisoning, etc. Well, yeah, they call flat Earth a cult, but why are these people so insecure about what they believe if what they believe in isn't a cult and that ours is? Anyway, somebody else has sent me a friend request. Just accept. How you doing, Pete Shea? Good to see you. When we'll be doing another live event. I know you're not everybody's cup of tea, but you do have some interesting things to say. Well, I wanted to actually talk to you proper the other day, really, but that guy came on, that Kader guy came on, and yeah, I mean, if you wanna come on, I'll just send you a link. But yeah, it seemed to kind of get a bit kind of no worries, Andrew Calvert. Hi through to you. How are you doing? What's the yes to? Well, what's the yes for? I mean, what are you saying yes for? Alright, cool. It's going out now, Pete. Alright, but yeah, till then. Oh yeah, talk about Dell and Andrew, his bike, yeah, who knows. Yeah. He might have been listening to a bit of Iron Maiden or Metallica while he was out, and he got a bit carried away or something. And who knows? I mean, I don't want to make any jokes, right, because something might have actually happened, I'll wrench. I don't want to wrench too many people, or I don't want it to be like a kind of intimidating place to come and chat for just, any average people, really.
Hey, howdy, Jamie.
Yeah, not bad.
Good.
That was too bad the other day. I mean,
Yeah. I didn't listen to the rest of your conversation. How did that go?
I just kind of, it
I
just
know it
didn't
probably
really
not well.
feel like that we could really,
Yeah.
agree on that much stuff because he seemed to kind of think that looking at the sun is bad for you, but yeah, he says he's been looking into flat Earth for over a year and still thinks that it just doesn't add up to me. And the fact that he said he was, originally from 3chan kind of was a bit of a red flag for me, really, because from what I've heard about them, they're just a troll network.
Well, I can guess how it would have went, Jamie. I wasn't interested in listening after that. I kind of had him sussed out in the first few minutes myself, but I can guess how you'd be polite and respectful at the start, but after a while, you sort of get the funny feeling about him.
Yeah, honestly, I did. But I I mean, I should have just given the boot, but I just didn't feel comfortable doing that.
Right, right. No,
Because
you've got to do what you've got to do,
it
Jamie.
just kind of seemed weird how he kind of, because I'm thinking afterwards, it seemed kind of weird that he says he's been following my channel for the last few months. Yeah, I mean, he's been kind of posting maybe the odd time in chat, but he's not. But it's took till now for him to reach out to me to come on and try and find out about me. Doesn't make sense to me.
And the way he was such a newcomer, right? I know he was in chat maybe the week before, and we were chatting, but I didn't know him outside of that. But yeah, the way he was a newcomer and he came on and he kept talking over as well and sort of insisting on leading the narrative. I mean, I don't think any of us have any particular interest at this stage in official politics or what the official mainstream news is, except for to take it apart reasons, not to go along and discuss the fears emanating from these stories. You know what I mean? So I think we've gone beyond that. But it's like anything else, Jamie. We've spoken many times. Someone else new coming into that conversation is going to sort of maybe upset the balance a small bit. And as I said, I pretty quickly got a grasp on that guy's character, and I didn't like it one bit. And,
yeah, especially I wanted to get rid of him because after a while there were a lot of people requesting to get him out of there.
Right.
Because other people started sussing him and they were saying, it's not going to be that great for your channel. But I thought, you know what?
Well, I'm
just going to keep it going for a bit longer, and then I'm just going to strut it. So I was like,
you can't be swayed by any preconceived notions, Jamie. Even especially about 3chan. I mean, you have to formulate your own views on these things and not act in a way that's maybe expected of you to act. As opposed to you feeling this is the right thing to do. But that's just the nature of it. I mean, I've had trouble with pretty much everybody.
The thing that seems a red flag for me is that some of these people from 3chan, have kind of gone onto chats to troll them. They're kind of have connections with the most notorious trolls. But like you said, they might be kind of part of our individual growths. Now
let me say, Jamie, I know you have a wrench in various and sundry different hangouts, but I do take it that you're definitely a genuine man, and when you're promoting channels and when you're promoting thumbs up and all that, it's for the purposes of getting the word out and get sort of discourse going between everyone. Even on Flat Earth, there's a big division, if you notice, in one sense. There's the sort of the potatoes and the non-potatoes. I'm seeing it.
Yeah, it's like you get these different factions, don't you, in Flat Earth, and it's causing division. It's cool if you want to have like your own group.
Yeah.
Like you get the Sun and Moon group, and you get all the different groups. But they're all working on different things. And
I mean, this is all there is the now, right? So the individual has to make up their mind. What is the state of affairs right now? What did I expect maybe when I came into this? How do I see things as being different now? Do I see these factions? And of course, there's no denying that these factions are in place. In one sense, you talked about the 3chan.
Yeah, isn't like these infiltrators and stuff? You mean?
Yeah, I mean, okay, yeah, of course. I've been saying it all along. Flat Earth's infiltrated at every level from the very start, from the very get-go. It's only the biggest conspiracy ever. And if you've been to any other conspiracies on a serious note, that's why I have a lot of trouble. Well, I know a lot of people are actors, especially on the basis of their reaction to 9/11. If someone comes along and tells me they're a seasoned investigator into these conspiracies, and then they balk or they act in shock, hearing about 9/11 fake news, Jamie, right? Then I question.
A seasoned investigator like Sergeant Pepper.
Sergeant Pepper's worth his salt, right? Well, I mean, yeah, this is the point. So if you've been in conspiracy circles, then you'll know that this opposition is set up. You pretty much should know by now that what
you see, am I right in saying you see it as more of a prosperacy?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it depends on what exactly you mean by that word in the context that I think you mean it. Yes, because it's all, there's a grander game going on, Jamie, you know, so there is a big reveal in the end and we all get there in the end. So yeah, if that's what you mean, as opposed to a conspiracy, it's maybe potentially for the ultimate benefit, everything we're going through, right?
Do you think that because someone called Flatty McFlatface saying that maybe we're all here to suffer and to learn suffering and kind of pain and kind of misery and things like that? I mean, because it seems like that the way that this world is set up is for, you know, obviously the majority of people to be kind of, you'll have all these negative emotions and things.
The peculiar thing about all of this is, Jamie, and I'm finding it out more and more, is this is all an individual experience. There's no relating. I cannot relate in a big sense my own experiences, my own thoughts on all of this to yours, you know what I mean? And vice versa as well. And yeah, I realize this more and more is the individual's experience. And we don't have a greater context. And that's probably necessarily so as well. I mean, we enter blind into this realm, you know. We don't know where we came from. We don't know where we go to. All we can do as we go along the path is maybe try to get closer to ascertaining some of these answers. And indeed, I definitely think, I have anyway, there's still a whole lot of questions.
When we come to Flat Earth, we just get onto like basically once, you know, step onto the ladder of knowledge, really, because we get to that point where we know we're being lied to, and then we know that it's not the Big Bang is all, you know, a fairy tale. And
that's what I think the pyramid is about, Jamie. And you have the 13 tiers, right? So, you know, the masses, the mob, if you will, are on the bottom, on the ground level, and they can't see around them. So you climb up to the first level. You're still restricted in your sight, but you can see above and beyond the vast majority. And as you go through life, then I think you climb up in terms of knowledge. And well, I've often said it before, I think it's all it will come down to something very, very simple indeed, you know. And this is what maybe this game of life is all about. And if time is temporary or temporal and or greater being, that's why I come to realize it has to be a simulation at this stage, because if you accept that we are greater beings, greater power, well then, you know, that it follows, I think, you know. We survive.
When you say a simulation, what you mean, you don't think of it like ones and zeros and all that, do you?
No, but in a different sense. You know, the thing about flat Earth is it's pretty simple and fundamental. I mean, it's always known that the Earth is flat and stationary. It really is. That's not the greater puzzle here. I've often said it, once you get to flat Earth, there's a greater puzzle awaiting you that involves the dodo and beyond. And whether you want to take that path or not, or come to that realization or not, that's up to you. Everyone is at their own particular place, you know, on point.
There was this guy on Sun and Moon Group earlier, and I was listening, and he was going on and on about like Jesus and all this stuff, and he was going on about how Eric DeBay, the one that got, you know, a lot of the people into flat Earth, and he believes that Jesus never existed. And then he said, well, then he was saying that probably means he's controlled opposition and all that. And
well,
and he kept, you know, kind of.
There's the Bible literalists into.
Yeah, well, it seemed like I got to a point where I couldn't watch anymore. I was like,
I can't take it.
Kind of put me off, because it's like they're teaching these things like, I mean, they're not teaching, they're actually preaching them. You know, they're kind of like you got to, you know, it's like, my way or the highway kind of thing, you know.
Well, I've said it for the longest times, they're the most dangerous contingent in flat Earth. You see, if you don't think that the opposition, if you will, is many steps ahead, you're crazy. So the Bible literalists are all there. They're probably financed by the church in one form or another, you know what I mean? But they're all there, right?
So you think that, like you said, they're privy to greater knowledge.
Right. And they're aware of this awakening process, and they still will provide the opposition. So they have their members in place. You know, we've seen on television the animosity, let's just say Donald Trump, even though it was all theater, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, whilst later on that evening they were at a Jesuits dinner, you know, entertaining some of the top people in terms of world power. So this is the realization we have to sort of come to. Well, you don't have to do anything, but you have to bear this in mind. If you're taking this seriously, you have to be aware of the nature somewhat of the arena that you're in. So every step is prepared for it. So you have to tread very carefully truthfully, and I've been saying this from the very start, Jamie, it doesn't matter what people think of me or you as an individual. What counts is what you think of you and what you know about your own motivations as you go forward here. But yeah, we have to be aware of the nature of the arena. And the Bible literalists, I think they couldn't be more wrong, Jamie. But listen, we're only after casting aside the worst institution that the earth has ever known in the form of the Catholic Church. But now we're taking their book. Now we're taking their book that they gave us.
These people, I know, NASA lies, and history is a lie, and the big pharma and all that, that's a lie. But no, the Bible's all 100% true, though.
Yeah,
and you couldn't possibly have made a. I'm not saying it's all lies.
Yeah.
It's either there's some lies, some truth, or maybe it's all true, but it's not in a kind of literal way.
Right, and that's what I was going to say as well, Jamie. And I think there's great truths in the Bible, the ultimate truths in the Bible. But to take it as in a literal sense is folly. It's like at this stage, and we know that millions do, but to take 9/11 in a literal sense is absolute folly as well. You're getting lost in the literal. If you look at it in a symbolic, representative fashion, and then you will come closer to truth. This is with flat Earth. You want to leave all untruths behind. This is why I talk about we have to stop using the word "is," even in terms of a vibration as well, because it's up to us to define what is real. If we have power in terms of our intentions, well, then if we give power to something that is unreal, that is, I suppose that is an ultimate sin in that sense, giving away that power. So, you have to be aware they're the most dangerous contingent, I say. And, well, what I've come to find out anyway, they don't like me at all, Jamie. You can't see, the thing is, like the Bible literalists, many other groups.
If it's just a greater again, then you're saying that they're all just, it's all trying to work towards our all kind of, all of our kind of, it's all about our kind of personal kind of development.
It's a tough one to sort of unravel, isn't it? Because
how can it be a conspiracy and a conspiracy at the same time? I mean, do you think there's actual people that are genuinely working against us?
Yes, I do. I think there are people who are working for us, all part and parcel of the theater of it. But I mean, that's what I'm saying. To unravel it all is.
But you think that the people that are put in place to work against us, even like by the people that are working for us, because the people that are working against, they have to be put in place because without them, that it wouldn't be a big enough challenge.
Exactly, and I mean. And
they don't even. They probably, some of them don't even realize that they're
right, and that's the real nature of the game,
skills and stuff.
Well, exactly, and but still, in all, I mean, I've asked quite a few people who I do suspect are privy to greater knowledge. They're playing a role on the flat Earth stage. I asked them to know about the dodo, and I took their answer as genuine that they didn't know about it. So I know the dodo is significant. So that they didn't know about it, then they're not privy. Might be privy to few things, they're not privy to everything. So I think ultimately, each individual is still having their own experience. And some.
I remember he was in a chat room with somebody. He was asking somebody about the dodo, that Randy guy, the Heart Earth guy.
Yeah. Randy.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I was just thinking, it's a sex name, isn't it? All has to do with sex, doesn't it?
Dodo.
Randy,
Randy. Randy.
It's all about sex, isn't it? With the elite, they always kind of propagate these things like Milky Way, and like you were showing when they went to the moon and back, and it did the cock and balls or something.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking.
That was so funny. That
it's cock and bollock in your face, Jamie. Let me see if I can find that. I have it here. Yeah. I'll open that one. Okay. This is the trajectory. The moon is very interesting. I talked about that before as well. Okay, let me share screen. Apollo missions. Why did they call it the Apollo mission? That's an interesting question. When the Apollo is associated with the sun, so they're giving you a clue there. There's the there's the image. What does that remind you of, Jamie?
Yeah, it's like.
And look, even where
obvious, that.
Isn't it just where the arrow the arrowhead terminate close enough to the snake eye, right? So it's a joke, Jamie, but that's the way I see it. This is NASA has been exposing themselves, if you will,
Exposing themselves
since the very get-go. You know, that's why we were allowed to see Capricorn 1. Even Gus Grissom, remember, he was supposedly he hung a lemon on the original rocket, and then suddenly he dies under mysterious conspiratorial circumstances shortly afterwards. I think that's all theater as well, Jamie. You know what I mean? Just a different layer of the narrative. So yeah, from the get-go they've been exposing themselves, but everything is accelerated really since 2012, even up to and including. I haven't even looked at it. The latest terrorist bombing in London, Jamie, where they're just presenting a ridiculous story and all of these meaningful numbers. You know what I mean? It's just become beyond obvious. So the question we have to ask is, why are they making it so obvious? And depending on how you answer that, yeah, well, depending on, I suppose, where you go from there. It's hilarious. And as you say, Milky Ways, black holes,
it's hilarious.
Brown dwarfs, SpaceX. It's cock and balls. It's a sex in the clouds. It's a virgin Atlantic or whatever, virgin space. You know, it's what's it trying to do? I wonder. What's it trying to do? Well, let me answer my own question.
Which island will you find the biggest percentage of redheads?
Which island? I'd say maybe the British Isles.
No, it's a Virgin Islands.
Redhead Virgin. Okay. I get it. Okay.
No offense to any redheads in chat or anyone watching, you know, might take offense to that. Just making fun of a stereotype, aren't I?
Right, and that's why it took me a second to get it, because of course, redheads, like every other person of any hair color, you have beautiful and you have not so beautiful look. So, but
then again, it's all kind of, you know, I mean, we have this kind of like preconception of what beautiful looks like. We're kind of conditioned to think looking a certain way is beautiful when it's probably not what was kind of originally kind of considered.
Yeah, exactly, Jamie. It's all about the personal point of view. I mean, it was a dog walking down the road yesterday, and it would be considered generally ugly as sin. But as I was saying to my brother, to that owner, it doesn't matter if a million people came up and told him his dog was ugly as sin. That dog is beautiful to him, you know, and that's ultimately all that counts, right? So, just because, and we know this in Flat Earth as well, just because a certain number say a certain thing, that don't make it so, you know. And again, it all comes back to the individual and the individual having their individual experience. But this is aimed at us all. I was going to say, why all the sexual subliminals and liminals, I guess.
Yeah, like the sex in the clouds, and it was like, because it was this strange coincidence, and you can't deny it. You know, in the was it the Aladdin movie? Right. You know, the sex in the clouds, and it was like, you know, it looked like it had been done by the same person. It was like the same style it had been done in, you know.
You can be sure that's
just so uncanny.
There's no chance, no chance and circumstance on Flat Earth, Jamie, when it comes to stuff like this. Everything is choreographed and coordinated. And I mean, I suppose the more disturbing question is, these programs in general are aimed at children. So what's that? What's the greater agenda there, you know, in terms of sexualizing of children? In terms of adults, in terms of us as grown men and women, men, let me speak for men, that's our basic primary fear, isn't it? We revert back to our fear of death and our sort of longing to proliferate the species or something, you know. But yeah, we have to sort of think outside of those terms now, I think. And I've often talked about our vital bodily fluids as men, and the ability when you hang on to those and you treat them in the right manner, well, then maybe ultimately they're
I've been, you know, holding on to them, you know, because I've been looking into this no-fap thing, because loads of people are doing it nowadays. It's become this big trend on YouTube.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. In a sense. And the one thing about...
I didn't know about that. Apparently there's all these benefits that you're supposed to get from it, you know, like...
Right. Excellent. And it makes absolute sense as well. But in terms of...
Excellent.
Well, you're going to be tempted at every hand's turn, Jamie. That's the thing, though. And I think sometimes that's the thing about life.
No pun intended.
the devil is lived backwards, and the devil is all about temptation. So if you can resist the temptation, and look at the temptation that's there for the youth these days. I mean, if you have a phone or a computer or whatever, you have pretty much open access to pornography of all manner and all sorts. And you'll find a teenage boy always finds a way, you know what I mean? That's just part and parcel of it. So if you can resist that temptation, then more power to you. But literally, once you get more into the spiritual realm, then, well, this fluid is a miracle fluid when you think about it in any real sense. It's responsible for all of us being here, you know, and that has great power in potential anyway. And if we can use that and imbue it in the right manner, well, who knows where that will lead?
Yeah, because I think because it's you know, it's an energy, isn't it?
And that's where behemoth comes in.
Whatever doesn't get used for, you know, say creating a baby, it'll get used for, you know, other things like.
And especially if you apply your intent and your knowledge, I guess, you know. I was saying that's where behemoth comes in.
Come over intent.
Come again? I was an idea for a T-shirt, something like "Don't succumb to subliminal sex advertising."
Oh yeah, I thought of this thing the other day. Creature comforts.
What's
instead of creature comforts? Creature comforts.
All right, that's cool.
You know, you get these trolls.
That'll be snapped up by whoever does all those accounts. I don't know who does all. Who do you think does all those comforts accounts?
You
don't know.
One of your main trolls. But it could be someone else entirely. I mean, some believe that it could be Joe Rogan that's doing some of these. Who knows?
This is the thing about getting involved. Most of these people and characters and antagonists are faceless and nameless, you know. So we have to.
So it could be anybody. Some of these people.
Exactly. So we have to sort of withdraw a bit and definitely not get emotionally involved. But I suppose you have to go through.
You don't take it personally because you know they're attacking everybody in this.
Right. But you know the chances are you probably have to go through that process anyway to come out the other side. You know what I mean? So, like you with that Kadir guy last game, you had to give him a chance first of all, and then you maybe realize what he was at, or he wasn't your type of guy, you know, or whatever, however you come out of it. You know what I mean?
Give a dog a bone and let him choke on it, basically.
But these people,
not that I'm
these people in general,
condoning, you know, anyone doing that.
When you say give a dog
before this gets took down for violation of community guidelines.
I was going to say when you say give a dog your bone, okay, you're not okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about now. Sorry. Okay, let's continue.
Well, yeah, that would be like even worse saying that. Yeah, I mean,
anything goes these days, Jamie. If you have a right to identify as anything you like, as a piece of eggshell or whatever, if you have a right to identify as anything you like, surely you have a right to do what you like. You know.
You're going about the trannies and stuff and all the kind of, you know, gender fluidity and stuff like that. It's like, I mean, but you were saying that it's kind of like, so you don't think it's like a bad thing that they're doing it then, these people?
No. I honestly don't, because at this stage I don't. What I don't
it's not nature, is it? Because like when people get, you know, parts of their body kind of, you know, kind of manipulated, shall we say?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, we don't know who we're dealing with here. As best as, if I was to ask you, who are you? You'd say I'm human, right? Well, in one sense, you're not human, because that's a bad thing to say, because someone could take it that you mean that you're monstrous of nature. You know what I mean? So who are we, or what are we? This becomes the bigger question, Jamie. And the way I see it now, we are a divided entity. You know, we have become divided and fallen, if you will. So what is our true state in nature? That's a different story. The only thing I don't like about it, I think there's an agenda rolling out. And I think androgyny, I think, is our natural state, actually. I think we're, by nature, three within one. You know, we're male, female, and child within one. You know?
So, yeah, because, like, to me, like, the male and female and all that, it's another way of the elite to divide us, like, because, you know, if you're male, you have to be this way, you have to be kind of butch, you have to be kind of you know, kind of a certain way, whereas if you're female, you have to be kind of weak, you have to be you know, emotional. But why not be able to have, you know, a mix of both? And because we become more kind of well-rounded if we was to kind of combine both.
If you look at trends, or if you look at the state of affairs as things are at the minute, Jamie, that seems to be exactly exactly what is happening. That these defined and firm and fixed boundaries are sort of melding away, and they're not so
Well,
clear anymore.
it's been weird because I've been seeing lots of guys in these proper skinny jeans that look about as far from manly as you can get.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I guess we're in a transition period, but in one sense, I mean, if we want to let people be themselves, we have to be tolerant of all types, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not going to affect.
I don't think going against it's really a good idea, because you get all these, flat Earth and truth channels and stuff that are saying about this thing being an agenda. Maybe it is, but people shouldn't have to be, if they don't want to be kind of because obviously we know the yin yang. We all have we all have characteristics of both male and female.
Right, and they have become distorted, Jamie, and because we have become divided. You see, as children, when we're born into this world, we know everything. We are the one then, and then as we go through the process, we become divided. Our minds, our spirit almost becomes divided, and we end up not knowing who we are. So I think we're getting back to that stage again. Now, the thing is, you can't just drop the truth on a whole population. You have to, it's like the frog in the water, you have to heat them up slowly to the truth. And I think that's what we're going through. We're going through this disclosure process. And if you're alert, you will sort of learn at a quicker rate than, I suppose, people who are not so alert or interested, And that's the great thing about flat Earth as well. In one sense, it liberates you, and you become central in one sense, in one grand sense. So it all becomes about you, and everything is so much up close and personal. But the only other thing about flat Earth is once you get there, a whole new realm opens up, and a whole new book of waiting to be filled with questions opens up as well, Jamie. But my own mind, I'm satisfied that we're coming to the end of it. And
what do you think about this September 23rd prophecy thing? Do you think it's just going to be an ordinary day?
No, I think it's going to be a big deal, Jamie, and maybe
not as the Bible literalists and things are thinking of it. You mean
not in that sense, but it's a symbolic. It's a counting down. That's the way I see it, which began ultimately with 9/11, and here we are.
Counts down.
Well, yeah. I mean,
sorry if that's offended anyone in chat.
If we worried about offending people, we would be apologizing all evening or all our lives, really. But it's certainly never my intention to offend anybody, even though most of the stuff I do say ends up offending people.
So how many days do you think the countdown is going to be then?
I think 2018 was always the year, Jamie. It's adding up in every sense.
It seems to be like that we're coming to the tipping point.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, you can't go look at all the the activism and things that have been happening lately, and this has been in the last year.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you've been listening to my Hangout, Jamie, but as far as I'm concerned, what I've revealed on my Hangout is the end of everything. I think, and I'm not just saying this, I'm saying this because the more I think about it, the more I see it has that reality attached to it. It might be the biggest discovery maybe ever, because it's something that you can clarify. Every individual is capable of clarifying for themselves and then coming to some sort of way of coming by some sort of a way of explaining it. That is that the Milky Way is to be found on the face of the moon. We talked about the moon before being a reflection of the face of the sun, and without the sun, the moon, the stars, the planets would have no existence.
But that might sound like some pagan sun worship cult thing.
You can literally find the Milky Way on the moon in this swathe between a crater Eratosthenes and Eudoxes, right? Now, Eratosthenes is an anagram of seas, not earth, and Eudoxes is an anagram of you.
Well, have you seen these like memes and stuff people have been posting about how the people have been seeing the continents of Earth on the moon?
Yes, I have, Jamie. And even though I had a look at that, and a case could be made, but it's not sufficient. You know what I mean? It isn't clear cut. Whereas regarding the Milky Way, you can go along. Anyone out there, you're free to do it yourself. And Jesus, why wouldn't you do it because you're free to get a picture of the Milky Way, picture of the moon with from these two craters. One is an image of the other, right? So that has major implications. That's 100% clarified as well, Jamie. So the implications of that are that the Milky Way and the rest of the stars are part of a projection system, which is based on the sun itself, as it's reflecting around a contoured, watery, mirror-like electromagnetic barrier. And that makes sense to us as well on a basic fundamental level. We all know what to expect as children. When you walk up to a puddle on a sunny day, you can see a reflection. So if we're dealing with water and light energies, you're going to, and a contoured surface, invisible barrier, I say it is, then you're dealing with reflections as well. And to me, to find the Milky Way on the moon ends it all. Astrophysics is fucked. How are they going to explain that? I've explained it, as I've said, to my own satisfaction anyway. When you look at the face of the moon, you're looking at a reflection of the interface of the sun, and the sun is a decapitated tree, giant crystalline tree located at the North Center. Sounds fantastical.
Well, because people are saying that the moon is crystalline or something.
Well, the moon doesn't exist, Jamie, as a separate thing. It's a reflection of the face of the sun, but the sun is crystalline. Yeah.
Oh, so it's all like a reverse thing. It's like
Mark Sargent had it correct. Like at the start, it's a planetarium, but it's a planetarium in a different sense. What makes all the difference is the nature of the contour of the reflecting surface above.
So, do you have any theories as to what's going on outside of it?
Water's beyond, I guess, but I mean, beyond that, where are you going to go? We could be somebody. That's when you get into the realm of infinite possibilities, and you just kind of have to draw the line.
You just have to be like, well, I don't know if that, because
right.
It's like we just come to this, knowledge. Well, some of us have. I mean, you say you've been in it for quite some time though, but
yeah,
in terms of like, obviously the timeline and stuff, it's been pretty recent, since most people have come to this knowledge, and we have to kind of start from there and then try and build up, people have been trying to work on models and stuff, but I mean, maybe like you're saying, going to the North Pole would be a good idea.
Well, I mean,
how would we get there, though? That's the question.
Yeah.
Because it's easier said than done, isn't it?
I'm working on it, though, Jamie. I mean, I'm working on it. Alice in Wonderland, if you're looking to find some real answers, you have to go through Alice in Wonderland. You just have to. You're being pointed at it from everywhere. And I even mentioned it recently. David Icke, look up David Icke's latest book, Jamie, regarding 9/11. I'll leave you, if you haven't seen that, just type in David Icke 9/11 book 2016 and see.
Then there's someone in chat called Alice, and maybe she's a clue. Alice in Wonderland.
Excuse me. There's lots of different connections I'm seeing with different screen names that I can definitely associate with Alice in Wonderland. From Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole to I talked about Mark Sgt. Pepper to even magical mystery tour. When you get to the Beatles, they're pointing you to Alice in Wonderland. Pretty much your favorite band is pretty much being pointed to it by everyone, from Aleister Crowley, as I said, to David Icke. David Icke only just did it in 2016. Just type it in yourself, Jamie, and you'll see. So you've been screamed. It's been screamed. And David Icke would have picked up many, many subscribers over the years, So it gives a context to everything as well. That's what I say about the flat Earth. Earth is always known flat and stationary, especially locally anyway. What we call Earth is flat and stationary. Beyond that, it might be a different story. But once you get to flat Earth, then Alice in Wonderland awaits. Or I'm going to say the dodo, because that's a sort of step into Alice in Wonderland again. And then once you get to the dodo, you're led off to different places again, But if you're wanting to put all of these pieces together, you have to go there. I can't see any other way. And again, this is spanning many hundreds of years at this stage. I say that the same people who wrote the Bible, wrote the works of Shakespeare, wrote the works of Mozart, wrote the works of Lewis Carroll, and many others, throughout the ages, including the Beatles. All the same hand is involved, in terms of this grander puzzle. So, so that's why I mentioned that, Jamie. You talked about, where exactly are you going to head to in the North? It's definitely...
I was just thinking, if the Bible was written in 1611, and, the dodo discovered in 1598, that means there's 13 years between that, and they say now about maybe 13, and because we were discussing it, and I actually brought it up, then about the reversal, about maybe 13 is a lucky number.
Right.
I don't know. It was just something that just came to my head now.
That's excellent, Jamie, because that was actually a major clue. You reminded me of that because
because you're going on about the 13 clue.
Right, we are fed with 7.
12, but you were saying that it's going to reveal a 13th clue or something.
Well, I did say that. I found a 13th chapter to Alice Through the Looking Glass, and it's called The Wasp in the Wig. Now, 13, let me just go through the significance of 13 as I see it anyway. We have 12 constellation, 12 signs of the zodiac, 12 constellations.
Well, we have 88.
No, sorry, with 88 constellations. Yeah. We have 12 signs of the zodiac. So the 12 would be nothing without 13. As I've just said there.
Yeah, we have what is it, 12 sets of ribs or something, you know?
We have
there's all these coincidences, because when I was looking into the flat earth, I was seeing about how there's all these coincidences with numbers and stuff, and it's like, it proves intelligent design, doesn't it, in some way?
Oh, well, we're well gone beyond that, Jimmy. I mean,
when I was looking into it, obviously it proves that, it's not an accident.
Oh, well, just the intricacies and interrelationships between the different languages, between the number and the written letter systems, between the vibrations, absolutely. It proves beyond a doubt that there is a greater, I mean, anyone who comes to flat earth and says they're on the fence about whether there's a greater higher power is crazy. It's sort of almost like a necessary follow-on, that, we find ourselves in flat earth. Therefore, there has to be a creator of some sort. Now, we might be the creator, some other...
Well, maybe if we all come together, back together, because maybe some people think of it as like a fractal...
Right. Right, but there has to be a creator, though. There has to... We are in a creation and a creator.
Yeah, there has to be some kind of... Because everything has a creator, because then you think, well, doesn't the creator have to have a creator? Right. But, that's the kind of, obviously, the biblical version of the creator that...
Well, that's
we all come from one single God, but who knows what it is?
Well, that simple realization that we do live in a creation, and therefore that implies a creator, that even changes everything in your life, Jamie, because, holding that thought as opposed to holding an atheistic, nihilistic thought.
Yeah, more like that we could at any moment be struck by a meteorite.
Right.
We're relying on the sun not to burn out and all this kind of stuff that we're all worried about.
Fearful nonsense, yeah. But that's the significance of...
But you're saying it's all part of our growth, so it's, it's...
Right.
Even though we might not like what we're going through right now, but it's like you get like tough love and all that, and it's like you hate it at the time, but you appreciate it later on.
You learn to love it. Yeah, you learn to love it and appreciate it.
You just learn to appreciate the lesson that you've learned, because without it you wouldn't have been able to kind of get to that next level.
Exactly, Jamie. So if we look at this,
where's that next curval?
Yeah, we're still looking for it, right, Jamie? Good luck with that. But regarding the 13, so it's all about the 13. Jesus is the Son. Jesus is also a man of Genesis.
Well, isn't he supposed to live till he was 33?
Exactly. Well, 33.
That in itself should tell you that it was a...
Well, that brings us nicely...
I'm not saying that no such person
number
existed,
7, Jamie. That brings us nicely to number 7, because, you were saying 7 is presented to us.
The question I would bring up is that if this is how Jesus looks, then he couldn't have been an Israelite, because, he had more of the, a European look, really.
Well, you see, that's a bit convoluted now, but you see, I think what the next layer in the conspiracy regarding Jesus then is that I think it's Caesar Borgia, one of the elitist families of the 15th century. That's the portrait of Jesus. What we're all used to seeing is based on the looks of Caesar Borgia. But I think that there's the next layer of the conspiracy then, because I say before 1598, none of these characters existed. So in other words, Leonardo da Vinci didn't exist, Caesar Borgia didn't exist. But to give credit to this is the point, to cater for the people who get beyond the first layer of the conspiracy, i.e. the realization that Jesus wasn't a real historical figure, then they will go to, they'll be led to, with the Shroud of Turin, Leonardo da Vinci, that conspiracy, and then with the similarities in the look to Caesar Borgia, and then they'll already automatically stand there and just assume that Da Vinci and Borgia had an existence. Whereas when I say 1598. Everything before that was a different story completely, you know, so these characters are fabricated.
Yeah, hang on.
And I think that's been shown. Martin Liedtke,
I
is
knew
doing
it
a
was good.
series on that, and he's doubting everything up to, I think, 1300. He's saying before 1300. No, I think he's gone beyond that actually. But you know, there was no existence. It was all completely fabricated. I think you should come up to a bit further, Martin. 1598, I say. You know, and before that, needs must everything was absolutely different. So you might bring some symbolic references into the fabricated history we're told, Jamie, but the whole story won't be told. That's for sure, because you're dealing with such drastically different realms, you know. But I do believe that the North Center is home, and that's the challenge, the ultimate challenge, maybe in this game of life, is to make it home. And that's why I talked about that. We're on the last clue, Jamie, and I have all the pieces in place as well. It's just about decoding it, and I don't think it's going to be too difficult. I assume it's going to pinpoint you to a certain specific location. So in other words, you'll have all the pieces of the puzzle, and you make your way to that location, and you might be asked a few questions. There's no bluffing in this situation. You know what I mean? You have to know exactly how you've got there and who you are in one big sense. So then you get to cross the frost bridge. Otherwise, how are you going to locate this mythical frost bridge? You know, there's a million and one specific areas you could head for in the north if you go north. It's like south, you know. So I think that's definitely one way of getting there anyway, this long-running puzzle. And as I said, Jamie, I consider it solved anyway, the Sergeant Pepper's puzzle. That's a puzzle that's been going on 50 years. So
you don't believe in the Antarctic Treaty then? I mean, obviously there is an Antarctic Treaty, but you believe it's like heavily guarded, like they say that it is?
They're the bounds of the Earth, I think. They're the bounds of the Earth and the sun's path.
So do you believe it's not like a bad thing, but rather they're trying to stop us going there, to stop us from finding out what's there, to keep us here, so that we learn this lesson kind of thing?
I don't think there's anything beyond there, Jamie.
I mean, that might be what, I don't know, I'm not saying that, but whatever there is, what you do, so you believe it's like a dome then?
Yes, I do. We live in a collapsed barrier, so where the barrier and the waters beyond meet the land. Now, when I say I don't think there's anything beyond there, I should rephrase that. I don't mean that.
Well, I've seen this theory where there's like multiple domes.
Right. What I mean is we are within a fixed boundary as a result of the collapse. So whatever has happened.
So it was never meant to be that way, but then again, it was always meant to happen. That
right, but we can go north, Jamie. Our home is north. This is the whole point of it. And
like you were saying about Eden,
right?
Yeah, like right. Sweden, southwest of
Eden, Edinburgh, Finland, Endland, Edenland. You know, and this is all. Anyone interested in this stuff? There's lots of stuff. Quasi-luminous. Go listen to Rosette Delacroix. Go listen to. I think it's Flat Earth.
Am I right in saying that the Rosette? I mean, but isn't she part of that kind of Pac-Man crew?
Oh, I don't even know at this stage. There's no more. I don't distinguish.
Because isn't she like part of that Awake Souls Event Skeptic crew or something?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure.
Because I can't be doing with watching them guys, because they're all like, pushing this kind of Christianity and stuff. And I was like,
well, I think that's ill-advised, Jamie, because
well, I don't know. Maybe you'd get some good information. It's
exactly.
They are just gotta ignore I just couldn't be doing with all the drama and stuff. That's what it was.
I mean, this is again individual's choice, and your road is your own road. For me, they are Bible pushers, and I think they're mistaken in their literal taking it. I think their math is wrong as well, but that doesn't mean.
Well, they have a weird one. Where it's like it's not like the circle path, and it's not a straight path either. They have their own completely different model.
Right, and they do still incorporate these gates. But
it actually has like a portal or something. I've seen the actual model, and it's weird. I mean, at least the sun and moon, it's not a literal Pac-Man thing. It's more of a multi-dimensional thing.
Right.
But I don't know about that. I mean, but I'm kind of leaning that way in a way, because it's like, I don't know. Some are saying there's a lot of problems with this AE. I know you were saying there is some problems with it, but you still believe that the sun's kind of, well, you're saying it's going in on sort of ellipsoid.
Yeah, an elliptical path. It has to be. And again, if we can't throw out science completely, if we take it that the Earth is stationary and the sun is traveling around us, then it will describe an elliptical path. And I think that's ultimately the shape. The Earth is confined by the
who's in chat right now?
Who?
It's in lead key.
All right, okay. Well, we were just chatting about him. Martin is part of the crew, I guess, and I have said to Martin before, of course, he has to be an actor on the Shadow stage, but he knows I've said that as well. But I have respect for all the information that Martin is putting out. You know, by me calling anybody an actor, that's no judgment. I can't afford to judge anybody and their ultimate motivations, Jamie. That's the only thing that I can say, really. You know what I mean? I do believe a greater game is unraveling, and I would like to hear Martin's impression on stuff like the dodo, or what I've had to say recently about the Milky Way to be found.
Yeah, it says his ears are burning.
I haven't said too much about you, Martin, as opposed to anything that hasn't been said before, like, you know. But
yeah, that was my terrible Welsh accent.
That was actually terrible. I didn't know you were putting on an accent, Jamie. It was that bad.
I was saying his ears are burning.
I think that one needs a bit of practice somehow.
Yeah.
Well, Martin, I'd like to hear your point of view on that. I mean, on the moon, between the craters Eratosthenes and Eudoxus, which are anagrams of Seas Not Earth and Exodus, you will find a pattern of the Milky Way, and I have confirmed that 100%. It's in a match. One is based on the other. So you should definitely check that out yourself, and maybe think about the implications. And everyone should get yourself up a picture of the Milky Way and get yourself up and try see if one is a match of the other for yourself. And if it is, then you can take your thinking further in trying to possibly explain why that may be. As I said, I've come up with my own explanation, which I've sort of had for the last 3 months anyway. And fantastical as it is, that's the whole point about all of this, Jamie. No matter what explanation you come up with in trying to describe the Earth and the nature of it, it's all going to be fantastical anyway, you know what I mean? At some level, even at the first few layers are just beyond that. So yeah, it definitely requires an open mind.
We got Mrs. Tesla's apple, but you know, Tesla's apple is 21, which is semi dodo,
right?
And it's also, you know, 777.
Yeah, yes, blackjack, 333. That was what I was saying about 7, Jamie. And these numbers don't have power in themselves. The power is in the knowledge of knowing what they represent. Again, the 13 is the sun, because without 13, 12 wouldn't exist, which is the 12 constellations or the luminaries in the sky.
You can't have the baker's dozen without the dozen.
Well, that's absolutely true, isn't it? That's absolutely true. Not quite equatable in the same sense, because of course without the number 13, you would still have the 12, you know, and fucking bakers as they are, they wouldn't always throw in an extra one for you. Although if you were getting 12, you don't fucking want an extra one, you know, because by the time you made yourself your way through 2 or 3 of them, you're sick of them anyway. It's when you only have one that you'd appreciate an extra one. When you had 2,
well, as Mick would say, you just take what you need, and the rest is waste.
Did you ever buy a big box of jam donuts, Jamie, and just eat them until you were sick as a dog?
Oh, the rest is just waste, man.
That's a bit better, man.
Yeah, I was doing Mick Flat Earth Stillwater.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm quite good at accents, Jamie, but I have to do a bit of practice with them and know what sort of things to say.
I've been doing the Irish one a lot lately. It just sounds funny. But like you're saying, you don't sound like the typical Irishman.
Exactly. I was going to say that most people in Ireland, if they met me and they didn't know where I came from, they wouldn't be able to locate me. That's just something I've experienced a lot, even though I might sound a straight up Irish to your ears or whatever. Yeah,
it's weird because like you might get someone that comes from like, you know, a different part of the country and they've been living here for a few years and they still sound like they're from that part of the country, but if they went back down to that part of the country where they're from, they would sound like they picked up the accent, you know, from
right. But again, it's the individual story, and I certainly I
find it very interesting that you only have to go a few miles away and the accents change.
It is amazing, isn't it? It is amazing, but it just shows you those formative years are very important. It's the very early years where pretty much everything is shaped. You know, your character, your habits, your nuances, etc. etc. We all know the Jesuits saying, "Give me the child for the first 8 years, and I will show you the man." That's what I was talking about, 7 and 8, Jamie. So when I looked into 7, of course, 7 pops up a big time in Alison.
It's not 8 years and 8 months, is it?
When I'm 64, another Beatles song, right?
Yeah, and obviously chess, that's, like you were saying with, chessboard,
right,
checkers.
Checkerboard, chessboard. That's all
black
about
and white, duality and all that.
Yeah. Well, ultimately, the check and the chessboard is all about the Cartesian coordinate system that should be used for a flat and stationary Earth. That's why I often say the dodo wears a checkerboard dress. That just means that instead of the spherical latitude-longitude coordinate system, you use a Cartesian or grid-like coordinate system to map out the flat and stationary Earth, with the origin point, the 0 point, being at the north center underneath the dodo's wing. And when I say dodo, I mean, just think of a Gleason's map. If you flip a Gleason's map upside down or rotate it 180 degrees, you have something that looks very much like a dodo. So when I say the dodo, it's along those lines, you know what I mean? The Earth is the dodo. That's the face of the Earth. And the actual map encoded since 1598. And so the dodo wearing a checkerboard dress, that's what that means. And that's what the square from the Masonic square and compass represent. The compass represents the spherical coordinate system to be used for the barrier above.
Someone was saying a while ago, I can't remember where I saw it, but the saying proves it's flat. The one where they say fell off the face of the Earth. How can you fall off the face of the Earth if it's a globe?
Right, very good.
Because like
he disappeared off the face. He vanished off.
Yeah, that's it. But vanished off the face of the Earth. I mean, that
it would make no sense.
Make no sense on a globe Earth, would it?
Or you'd have to say he vanished off the faces of the Earth, because if you view the Earth in one particular orientation and you saw facing it, then you could view it in any.
Well, it would be more that vanished off the exterior of the Earth. That would be better.
Well, that's exactly true. And another one which tells me the same, and I asked this to a few people. I mean, would you agree that expressions, idioms, generally pass down into common usage because they can contain a core truth?
Well, it sounds a bit like idiot, doesn't it?
What does?
Idiom,
idiot.
I don't know.
Yeah, you're only one letter off, right? The T.
Yeah, so what?
Yeah.
T plus M is 33.
Well,
this might be going a bit too far now.
No, you're cool. T and M are very important letters. M is the 13th letter, of course, Jamie. Jesus was crucified on the cross. The T represents, well, we know what the X represents. Well, actually, that's a bit too. The X represents a few different things.
Couldn't M represent a pair of jugs?
A pair of jugs, well.
Yeah, as in, like, you know what?
Well, I know what you mean.
A couple of mounds, shall we say.
Well, it can represent
a couple of humps.
An M is an upside down W, right?
Yeah,
absolutely, Jamie. All these things are significant, and you can be sure that.
Well, if you turn an A upside down, you actually get a container with flat water in it.
Well, if you think about the V upside down or the A upside down without the crossbar that's the international representation of a male, and inverted is the representation of a female. So it's when both are in harmonic balance, and you put the two of them together, you get an 8, right? You can see how you get an 8 actually if you put it upside down. Actually, if you get any of the numbers and you invert them upside down and mirror them and reunite them, then you get an 8. It's all about the 8, which brings us back to 7. So the 7 is the L, Jamie. That's what Alice in Wonderland, Alice Through Looking Glass taught us as well. And this L figure comes into everything. If you think about word and world, you have world. So you have the L inserted into the word. Who is this L character? And I asked the question, is Jack, of any name Jack that I've been able to think of has always had a negative connotation to it in terms of any sort of well-known character passed down through history, be it from Jack and the Beanstalk, who stole and robbed all around him and murdered a giant, to Jack Sprat, to Jack the Ripper, to all work and no play.
Jack and the Beanstalk. I mean, is it what's
Jack and the Human. Well, I mean, it has a negative sort of connotation to it. Even to the jack in your car, you know, the only time you need a jack in your car is when you're in sort of trouble or you have to do some sort of repair.
Yeah, jack something means to steal something.
Right, to jack off. Someone mentioned
to jack off,
which pretty negative connotation.
Leading back to kind of NoFap stuff, isn't it?
Right. But then I thought about Mike L, Jack's son. So I definitely reckon that Jack and L are interconnected and related to one another. And L is an
Jack and Jill.
Right. Well, Jack and Jill went up the hill. That ended bad as well, didn't it? To fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and broke his crown. He broke his crown, Jamie. Crown is at the top of your head. That's what you have to ring like a bell. That's where behemoth comes into it. Behemoth. So that's setting up that vibration within your body and hanging on to your vital bodily fluids, eating well, thinking well, will set up that vibration, which I think will allow your pineal gland to solidify. I think it's the opposite. We're told that fluoride is bad for you because it solidifies your pineal gland. I think that's what we have to get to, a solidified form, a crystalline form, and then these vibrations will, set you off, I guess. Well, and here's the thing about Jesus, just two things about Jesus. You mentioned that he was 33. Well, if you look at a 33, Jamie, it's an 8 cut in half, right? So this is the divided state that we're in. And that's the significance of that. 33, we also have 33 vertebrae. And maybe this vital bodily fluid has to be risen up through the vertebrae into the brain cavities and sort of, vibrate in unison with this pineal gland inside and activate. I think it's all about the crown of your head as well. You wear the crown on the very top of your head. We see the marble arch has a big significance in terms of architecture strewn throughout the earth. But I think the marble arch is the very top of your cranium, and by getting that to vibrate like a bell, and I think that's the mantra now. I've taken the sword from the stone as I describe it. The sword is the S word. The S word, which is that harsh vibration. Is taking that from the stone is the S tone, which is the TH. Just like you won't find a positive connotation associated with the word Jack, I don't think you'll find a negative connotation associated with any word beginning with TH, as in theo, as in theology. I don't think you'll find any I haven't been able to find a negative connotation. So that is the S tone, the softened S. So you still have the S, the TH sound, but it's a softened S. So that's where behemoth comes in, and it's a mantra. It's thumb backwards, Jamie. If you look at the H on your keyboard, you can look right down at your keyboard right now. As you draw 2 diagonals on the H, it makes an X first of all, but you can spell out the word thumb. Now, if you go to the center H and you look up to the U and the 8, it's all in a line, and you have B, H, U, 8. So it's sort of telling you to be 8. You are the alpha and the omega, but you have the word thumb spelled backwards, gives you B, M, and that's as close as we damn to B.
Have you had any more like what you call it, like eureka moments since the zzz?
I'll tell you what it does. I'll tell you what it does now, actually.
Does.
I know, and I don't like using even is words anymore that harsh.
Why? Because I thought you said that it's good.
No. The is words isn't, Jamie. And here's a brilliant one, right? Think about Elizabeth. Actually, think about Bethlehem, birthplace of Christ consciousness, right? Bethlehem. Only for the L, the EL is inserted. You have behemoth, right? But now think about Elizabeth, your monarch and your leader. The only sovereign who's allowed to travel without a passport, because she knows who she is, and we're sort of being encouraged to know who we are as well, and we should all be traveling without a passport in one sense, and maybe that's what I'll be going for next, Jamie. I've declared myself the King of Ireland in real and meaningful sense, Jamie. I mean, if anyone takes it seriously or not, it's nothing to me.
Well, you were saying that we're all kings and queens.
Exactly, we all are, each and every one of us.
But like you said, if we're both genders, then we're both we're all both king and queen at the same time.
Queens and keens. But yeah, well, I mean, that's if we go around, if you think you're a legal name and you have all your little passport, your driver's license, yes, that's me. Well, that's not representative of a king and queen or a sovereign who knows who they are, you know. So I think this is a realization we all have to come to. But regarding Behemoth and the mantra, we all know about the mantra Om. Om is contained within Behemoth. I talked about the TH at the end. The moth, look at the moth itself. It's the beginning of mother, you know, the birth of us all, or the origins, the source of us all, you know. So within that word are all of these gentle, beautiful, soft vibrations, harmonious vibrations. The is, you can feel it, like the is.
Well, the moth, I mean, it's kind of related to, butterfly, isn't it? You know?
Well, exactly.
Monarchs, monarchy,
Right.
kings and queens.
Excellent. And he moth, you know, the moth is representative of the process of transformation, you know. So even the word,
because it goes through like a phase, doesn't it?
metamorphosis, yeah.
Yeah, that's what they call it. Yeah.
So the point being that
caterpillar.
Right. Well, excellent. And the caterpillar appears in Alice in Wonderland as well. All of these creatures appear and have an utmost significance. But if we're just looking upon it, that's just a children's story. Get the fuck away. That has no greater significance. Well, I've said it before, Jamie. The dodo will make fools of the clever. It's like children we must become. You've been told that, but we have to reach the state of adulthood in order to be able to revert to childhood, and then we'll go back and we look at what's been presented to us in the form of nursery rhymes, children's games, different ditties, different stories, etc. And then we'll be able to decode the truth. And it's all there for us, you know, it's all there for us. But let me just say regarding Behemoth, you have home in there, Jamie. I was going to say about Elizabeth, your monarch, Elizabeth, contains E-L-I-Z. They're the two aspects you want to get rid of. They're part and parcel of the constructs. The L is the G. You see, the G is you can see the G on your keyboard is fighting almost for prominence with the H, but the H wins, you know. The G is part and parcel of this broken system. I talked about the G, I talked about the square and the compass. So the Masonic G in the center represents the luminaries, or more specifically the sun, and it's three separate movements. If you look at the G itself, it has three separate movements. It has a swirling motion, a vertical, and a horizontal motion. And there are literal motions describing the movements of the sun.
So there's like a kind of, because people think that, the way that the letters are placed, it's just because it's just the most convenient for, typing and stuff. But you're saying that there's a different reason for that.
Absolutely. And the G then becomes the 7, right? Because the G is the 7th letter of the alphabet. But if you turn a 7 upside down and mirror it, you have an L. So we have the G and the L being equatable with the 7 and the 12. So this is how it works, you know. So Elizabeth contains the L and the IS sound. So she's divided, Beth as well, as half of Behemoth. So if we want to replace the EL and the IZ with the HE and the MO, or you can interchange vowels, the HO and the ME. Take us home, Jamie. This is where the beauty of finding the Milky Way on the moon comes in. Just to reiterate, go to your moon, Google Moon, look up Eratosthenes crater, and look up the Eudoxus crater. One is an anagram of Seas Not Earth, the other is an anagram of U Exodus. And it's all about wordplay. I knew Eratosthenes didn't exist as a real character, so encoded within the name, because it's such a tough name to say, encoded within the name is truth, and I take it that's the truth. Seas Not Earth is perfect anagram for what Eratosthenes is said to represent, or the lie that he's said to represent. So these are all, there's no accidents. Everything is fashioned in the exact way. Even the Greek alphabet, when the alpha and the omega is the 0 to the infinity. If you think about a 0 as just a twist, an 8 is a twisted 0. But look at the Greek symbol for alpha and look at the Greek symbol for omega. The small letter for alpha and the capital letter for omega. When you put those two together, then you get an 8 again. It's all about the 8, the alpha to the omega. It's all about the 0 to the infinity, which, if you look at your keyboard anyway, is you, Jamie. HU8. So, so Behemoth, what it does is, we don't need to eat as well. We are fundamentally different in potential than everything we.
Well, hang on, you is 21.
Right? Is that okay? Okay. Actually, I'm shit at numerology as well. So when I say 7 and L, that's basic stuff. You can see how easily that's you can see that happening. But I might need to look into numerology a little bit.
I don't know. I mean, it's just like it's the 21st letter in the alphabet.
This last piece of the puzzle is very interesting, Jamie. I've put it up before. I have all of the individual pieces worked out, but the overall thing is still waiting to be solved. But a very interesting part of it. Let me just bring it up briefly because I have spoken about it before. And again, this is all of a puzzle. So anyone listening, this is a live puzzle, and I take it. I can't see anything beyond it. I think this is the very, very last piece of, I'm going to say, a puzzle that's even gone on of 420 years at this stage. It's that significant. And the thing about this thing is, it's not that complicated. But actually, hang on, I just share that now. It's not that complicated, Jamie, but it just requires that you have so many different pieces, that you can put sort of together. And without any one particular piece, you're thrown sort of wayward, Hang on, where am I? Sorry, Jamie, I'm just sharing my screen. I won't take too long with this. I'm not sure why that's not coming up now.
It is after the link, actually.
Okay, one sec. There you go. Sorry, now, here we go. This is the very last piece of the puzzle as I see it, Jamie. Nearby sevens is given us, this is a reference to Alice Through the Looking Glass as well. All of these numbers, it's sort of interrelationship between numbers and letters. There's a code to be inserted. We already saw the musical clue down here. Delcroix was saying he put this into one of these music. Let me just play a brief bit of it. That's all it is. It's about 4 minutes long, right? But he put this into a music song decoder. So any piece of music in existence.
Are you allowed to play this then?
What's that?
You're allowed to play it, the copyright thing.
No, I don't think it's copyrighted, but I'm not playing it anyhow. That's just a piece of music that's 4 minutes long. But he put that into a sort of a comparison database which had 4 million or something different tunes, and it showed up blank. But I recognized Twinkle Twinkle Little Star within it, just a brief little section of it. And then that led us on to Mozart, and that led us on to solving the musical clue, which was Mozart itself broken into 3 pieces: M, OZ, and ART. ART comes up in a lot of places as well in terms of Earth. EARTH, it's slap bang in the middle of Earth. And indeed, this is all illusion or artifice in the first place. So that's that, you know what I'm saying? That's that piece solved. I know the context for DC here, right? DC backwards. C is the third letter, D is the fourth. 3 times 4 is 12, or 3 plus 4 is 7 as well. So 7, L, G, they're interchangeable. That's the context there. The 7E is significant as well, Jamie, because 7 is 7, obviously. E is 5. That'll give you 12 when you add them up. 7 is also G. That'll give you G5, which is a reference to not only this latest
what about 5G?
5G, exactly. This latest is reference to 5G. This latest
technology that's supposed to be coming out. Or something.
Frequency technology. That's right. And all of this. One thing we realized from
what do you think about this whole kind of this supposed kind of depop thing?
Depopulation. No, I don't buy it, Jamie.
Why is that?
I think what's happening now, right, is anyone who's meant to be here on Earth at this stage is here on Earth. And all the places are fulfilled. Again, we're coming to the end. I said this to my brother, would you have any regret? He doesn't have any children. I said, would you have any regrets as you stand right now not having children? And he said, not really. So I take it that's fine. You know what I mean? He's not missing anything. He's not yearning for something. And maybe that's the way it's meant to be.
Urine.
But that's not his role to play then. I'm not saying that that's not going to happen. But I think that's why we're seeing a drastic sort of reduction in the number of children people are having as well. And I think everything that's
so you think that's a good thing? Because some are saying that's like that it's like a depopulation agenda thing.
It has to be. Well, the way I see it has to be a good thing, because I see the overall game coming to fruition or completion next year, and there's so much we don't understand stand right now, but I do see it as, remember, Jamie, we're in a state of division. So we're at the final stages of this game as well. So yeah, even though on the surface it seems bad and terrible, I do think it's all playing out according to some, again, the future is more certain than the past. That's the way I look upon it, you know. How far can you go back in the past and vouch for, Jamie? You know, can you go back to the Stone Ages? Can you go back to the Roman times? Can you go back to the 14th, 15th, 16th century? How are we supposed to know, you know? How are we supposed to know? Let me just say about Elizabeth, yeah, I think that's very important. So right down the middle, you're torn between the two divides. You have the behemoth, half of behemoth, the BETH, and then you have Elizabeth, L and the is. That has to be gotten rid of and replaced with the HOME, if you will, the home, which will take us home. Yeah, and this is a vibration. You were asking, has it made any difference? Well, we don't need to eat, I think, Jamie, and this vibration...
So you believe in this breatharianism?
Right, I do, and that's not to say you jump into that overnight. But one thing that this vibration, I feel in myself anyway, sets up is this, I don't feel the need to eat so much anymore. I didn't even eat much before that, but I don't feel the need to eat so much anymore. And if I do eat something, it doesn't sit in my system comfortably, you know, whether that's...
well, the thing when you eat, you know, vast amounts of food is it like your body, you know, wastes most of the energy just, you know, kind of digesting it and stuff.
Right, exactly. And, you know, if you think about an old rusty tank or something like that, and you want to get rid of all the detritus attached to the inside, all the rust and dust pieces, you'll vibrate it, right? You'll give it a little frequency vibration, and you can imagine all that stuff flaking off or whatever. This is what this vibration does, I think, inside in us as well. My nose has sort of been runny for the last few weeks since I've been doing it, and it definitely has an effect within the system. And I think practiced and perfected in combination with certain other practices and realizations, this is what leads us home. And if we think of the story of Jesus, yeah, I just mentioned about the 33, 3 and 3 is half and 8. So we are divided, you know. Jesus was androgynous for the most part, you know, against all standard norms. He was never married or had said to have children. But yeah, he received his illumination when he went off into the desert for 40 days on a fast, you know. So I think all of these things are telling us what we need to do to achieve this enlightenment that we seek, I think. And yeah, remaining celibate, hang on to those vital bodily fluids, and going on one of these extended fasts, I think, to hollow out your body completely, you know. Remember, this is about getting back to a previous state. So yeah, I think it all combines to present a wonderful potential anyway, you know. It's a wonderful potential, and I'm glad to hear about that, Jamie. I'm glad to hear about the no fapping, as you say. It's a good thing. I don't think there's a man out there who won't, well, unless you're in a loving relationship, you know what I mean, then obviously it can be the most satisfying thing there. But when you're not and you're satisfying yourself, I think there's always that feeling of loss or disappointment when you do you know, ejaculate or, you know, rid yourself of those bodily fluids. There's something vital lost there. And yeah, this life is all about temptation, and if we can think differently about everything, then who knows where that will take us.
Yeah, I'll let Ali speak for a bit.
Is Ali here? Okay, very good, Ali. All right, can I just say about this? Let me just finish up on this, because this ties in brilliantly, Jamie. So I was just talking about this long string of letters here, and I think once you solve the first piece of the puzzle, you can slot it into here. But this last piece here, remember the past, as it's all about puns and wordplay.
So is it like encrypted or something like that?
Right. Well, it's always a few different meanings. When you remember something, you put something back together. When you dismember it, you take it apart. So that's reminiscent of Back to the Future. But then in the name itself, remember the past, put together back the past, and you get Tempest. So we're being asked to remember Tempest now. When you look up Tempest, Jamie, I read all the works of Shakespeare maybe 10 or 15 years ago, maybe. And I knew that Tempest was the most celebrated play, and it's considered one of Shakespeare's greatest plays. Well, it was only written in 1611, Jamie. And it's very pertinent to what's going on, I think, in terms of this clue. That's where we've been pointed to. But this is what I wanted to say. I've been opening up my own hangouts with Bob Dylan songs for however long. Bob Dylan, it turns out, had an album called Tempest. The play itself is called The Tempest, but Bob Dylan's album was Tempest. And you'll never guess when it was released. It was released in September 11, 2012 in the US, Jamie. So that album, I knew it was significant at the time as it referenced The Tempest, Shakespeare's greatest play. But all these pieces now seem to be coming together, and it's within that bulk, what I've talked about there, this final solution will reveal itself. And I'm pretty absolutely positive. We've already had a major clue regarding Greenland and what's called the Dodo's Delight. It's a little sloop, a little sailing vessel, 33 feet in length, and it's how would you put it? Oh, it's a different story. Anyway, it's out there, and we know the destination is in and around Greenland somewhere. And I think that solving this particular puzzle here, this last piece of
Greenland, G, of course.
Right. Well, all these things come into consideration. I mentioned before about Liverpool and how it ties in with the dodo, the liverbird, the beetles. Well, there's Liverpool land to be found on Greenland, but who knows what's going on about Greenland? You'll get no information from.
Because even Anthony Riley was agreeing with you on that, wasn't he?
Right. Well, I've had a few different thoughts about Anthony Riley since the last time I've met him.
Why have you got a bit suspicious about him?
I know, and I like Anthony, I really do, but I was sort of suspicious about a few things before. He's so well versed that he should be more au fait, familiar with some conspiracies and some ideas and notions that have definitely been doing around in conspiracy circles. But I found that he's a solicitor. Well, he came out and said he was a solicitor.
Well, yeah, he kind of disclosed that he was that he worked in not worked. I mean, that he'd actually got a degree in law or something like that.
A degree in law, and he has advanced studies then to take him further. But when I quizzed him about
maybe he's revealing this just in good time for the Grand Dodo reveal.
Right. Well, I mean, that's a possibility as well. But as I pointed out, I did ask him about the legal name fraud before, and his dad was a policeman as well. And as I said to him in text form, well, I mean, I'm not a policeman, and I felt the need to tell my own son about the legal name fraud, and your dad didn't, but I didn't know he was a solicitor at the time, and he surely knows about the legal name fraud. You have to know about it at this stage, man. Even if you didn't learn it in solicitor school, you have to have come across it in conspiracy circles, and being a solicitor, you would have surely looked into it further. So yeah, again, I've had to call Anthony out, but again, no judgment against the man. I think he's a lovely man, but I mean, everything is not quite above board as well. That's my judgment on that. And I don't like the way he deleted all his channel as well. I don't think.
Yeah, I just thought that was a bit of a silly idea. That, I mean, he had all those subscribers, and he could have just kept it going. He could have just I get what he was doing, but couldn't he have just hidden his channel for a while and just came back?
And for a long while there, we got lost in. Well, I didn't get too involved in it, but a lot was talked about this Soundly character and going through these different debates.
Why is Globebusters entertaining these characters now?
Yeah, I know, Jamie, and that's what I'm saying. I've moved beyond that. I mean, where my thinking is at, it's way beyond that, and there is something to be had for that, And we have to remember, the flat Earth numbers are growing day by day, exponentially at this stage. It has to be, and there'll be constantly new people coming in, and this will be all new and fresh to them. But we're all at different stages. And listen, I'm after finding the Milky Way on the moon, man. That has to be the biggest. How are the ball earthers going to explain that, Jamie? You can go into that with a fine tooth comb, and I know you're going to find a match every time. It's a direct. One is part and parcel of the other. Now I've explained what I think it is, what I think is going on. But first of all, you have to satisfy yourself that it's happening, and then you'll have to try and explain it yourself. But how are the ball earthers going to explain that? they're dead in the water.
Yeah, I had another thought as you were going with that tooth. I was thinking MT, milk teeth.
Well, we talked about teeth before.
And about MT.
Yeah, Arthur, you are Arthur. Arthur Dent then is Dent has got to do with the teeth. And Dent, Arthur Dent, if you read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the two H's there, well, you always got from one place to another by sticking out this electronic thumb. And so all of these things tie in. Teeth backwards is H, teeth. So the teeth to get you to H, you know what I mean? That mother's milk. But think of the teeth themselves. You have the eyed teeth, the one-eyed teeth, if you will. The canine teeth, in one sense, is God. Backwards is a canine dog. But wisdom teeth, Jamie, are the milk teeth, yeah. Mother's milk teeth. So yeah, it's all about the vibration set up between the teeth. This is what the 13th chapter of Alice Through the Looking Glass tells us as well. The name of it is very important, but everything is important with it. A wasp in a wig. A wasp, a W. If you take the W from the wasp and the W from the wig and you sort of connect them together, you get an 8, right? So that's the final chapter. But that's telling us about the importance of the vibration set up between your teeth. And as you practice this mantra, Behemoth, you will set up that harmonious vibration and it will ring through you. And as you get better at it, I should think, you'll get to that ultimate stage. Your marble arch will ring like a bell, and I think your pineal gland will crack, and then comes illumination. I think literally that's the process. You have to hold on to your vital fluid. I think sun gazing would definitely not harm you. It would definitely help, I think. But I also think another thing is important, right? And again, I don't push anything, but there's something I have done myself, the blood over intent. This is a sign to the universe, the creation, that you finally know who you are, you know what you're not. And this is where Humpty Dumpty tells us about the name. It's talked about profusely in Alice Through the Looking Glass, where she goes to the forest of no name. We're telling you all of these things. You're not a name. You have to forego that. And just as a sort of a ritualistic, symbolic thing.
Would you call Humpty Dumpty if he was overweight?
If he was overweight?
Yeah.
Go on.
Humpty Dumpty.
What the Dumpty?
Humpty Dumpty.
Plums come in a lot today, and even think of Humpty Dumpty, Jamie. Humpty Dumpty. Humpty Dumpty, I say, represents the apple or the egg.
And hump is another sex thing, isn't it?
Right. Well, there you go. There you go, man. You get the hump and you get your sperm to the egg. But the egg is the intact barrier, and Humpty Dumpty, it's via frequency and vibration that the barrier collapsed. The giant conducting trees were collapsed or destroyed. So yeah, Humpty, that's a major clue. But all of these things are talked about in Alice Through the Looking Glass. That's why I say it's vital to go, if you're on this path, and if you're going to stop here, well, you're free to do what you want. If you want ultimate answers, you have to go through this path. You're being pointed at from everywhere. So I would encourage you to take it more seriously. But yeah, Humpty itself, H-U-M, it's all about frequency and vibration. Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall. I take the wall as solid earth, all the king's horses, all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. I think maybe what did happen to us is down to our own hubris, down to our own pride or something like that, Jamie. I think it could have been something like that. And what we're going through now is a lesson to be learned. But yeah, it's all there. But that's what the frequency sets up. And yeah, when you practice this frequency, it's to be said through closed teeth, right? So not clenched teeth, just closed teeth, and just in one breath. Like I've said it, like the way you do fee, fi, fo, fum. So it's the same be, he, must, and you have to sort of emphasize all the different syllables and sounds. And once you do that a few times, do it 3 times at a time in sets of 3. So you go 3, 6, 9. And in one sense, even though there's probably other senses, when you understand 3, 6, 9, you understand the universe. I think Tesla is credited saying that. He said it's all about frequency and vibration. Something like that can apply, I think. So I encourage anyone to try it. You're always in control of yourself. Just like I was going to say about the blood over intent. No one can take your intentions away from you. Remember, you are the
your intention.
Well, actually, the choice of the name itself, Jamie Urine, when you think about it, everything is significant. There's no words chosen now that have not a significance, especially when you break them up, look at them backwards, or mirror them, or whatever, or apply gematria to them. Yeah, so it's fascinating. Yeah, it's definitely, and that's what I was thinking as well. I have been into conspiracy circles a long while. I realized after maybe a few wet weeks, maybe even 4 weeks of looking into 9/11 conspiracy back in late 2010, I came to where I'm at now, which is that our chains are being fucking yanked here. We've been fucking led down a pathway in the biggest ruse in history. But of course, it's only beyond that I've learned so much more. But you have to get to these points. You know what I mean? If you don't get to these points, you'll never progress. If you start taking all these things literally, you'll be stuck in the illusion, and you won't get any nearer to closure, I suppose. And there is closure. There is a greater coherence to all of this story. And I suppose as you come to learn more and more, the more you come to appreciate maybe the extent of the greater story. And maybe the more you want to either stay away from the truth or embrace the truth. I think we all should be embracing the truth. This is where I say the significance of 420 comes into it. Literally, Jamie, we've been told that 42 is the ultimate answer. And, well, just like everything else has been reversed, in Gematria, we're always encouraged every time to knock off the zero. So let's reverse that and add the zero.
Yeah, do you think that's got any significance? Gematria,
right.
Jeremiah.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think within all of these character names, there are some codes of one sort or another. But yeah, 420 is the number of years from the discovery of the dodo.
And, a panda, but black and white duality.
Right, or Pan, the god Pan as well, with the horns, the goat. Da backwards, or Da itself is Da. Well, yeah, you could read anything into lots of stuff, I guess, but these people are character actors. You never get to see their face, so their names are encoded. Absolutely. Haunted House.
That's right. I think what kind of anagrams you could make out of it. Probably quite a few, isn't there?
Right. Well, Mark Sergeant Pepper was I think that's an in-your-face one. Mark Sergeant being a prepper. That's crazy stuff. He's only internet present. He's been a gamer as well all his life. He's only internet presence before the Flat Earth Clues was this Prepper's Guide he put out. No, that's a clue for you, man. If you're paying attention, you'll see Mark Sergeant Prepper, Mark Sergeant Pepper. Then you find out the significance of Sergeant Pepper. At least you should have, anyway. That's definitely something I found out early doors. When you get into conspiracy, a few big conspiracies there, 9/11 conspiracy, Paul is dead conspiracy is a massive one. It's awaiting you. The chemtrails conspiracy, anything Alex Jones talks about pretty much, or David Icke talks about. These are all the ones that you'll find some answers in. But yeah, the Paul is dead then will lead you down your own path. If you get stuck in the literal, you get lost. Whereas if you see the metaphorical or symbolic, then you move further along in the puzzle. And well, as I say, I claim that I've solved the Sergeant Pepper's puzzle. The walrus is Paul. Well, the walrus is a walrus moustache, which is found in chapter 3 of Alice in Wonderland underneath the dodo's wing. And you actually find the face of Paul. I know that sounds strange and crazy. You actually find the face of Paul, the fake Paul, underneath the dodo's wing with the walrus moustache pointing upwards to the north wing center, where we go on then to come up with the greater solution, which I have summated as 8 or 88, the hidden hand, 8 or 88, X marks the spot, and 420. And that's the solution to the Sergeant Pepper's ongoing 50-year puzzle. But that's all entwined within the Lewis Carroll puzzle, which has been going on since the book was written itself, which is all entwined with this greater puzzle as well. Just to find that the Tempest was written in 1611, Jamie, the same year as the King James Bible. The same year as what was that? What else was 1611? All these things were in the same around the same time. So I maintain that the same hand that's wrote the Bible, wrote the works of William Shakespeare, wrote the works of Lewis Carroll, etc., etc. So this puzzle is an ongoing puzzle, and it's still alive, and it's 419 years in the making. I say there's 1 year left, and we're all coming by the solution now. I think we all can see that information is more free than ever. There's more cooperation than ever, and Yeah. Every individual has, because it's all of our puzzle, every individual has their potential role to play. I've often talked about these type of talks. Even if you get nothing else from it, one piece of information might just lodge in your brain and become vital or invaluable in terms of later investigation. That makes it all worthwhile, So, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, papyrus explanators here as well.
Yeah. All right. That's Chris. Okay. Well, I wanted to say, I did say in my own hangout yesterday, I do appreciate the well wishes from all the people who did send support. Like, I did go through what I was going to go through last Wednesday. Our last was Tuesday, 9/11. I choose Jamie, and I did go through with that, but it didn't quite work out the way I didn't want to anticipate really, but it didn't work out the way I had anticipated anyway. So, yeah, I'm still at large, and I just wanted to thank Paper Explainer, now that you mentioned him, for his well wishes. He did wish me well, and so did Chris here as well, and yeah.
So do you still think they're the same person then?
Man, I said this to Chris already. From what I've heard, I went for, even Delqua went from 98% up to 99% certain based on certain nuances. So if it's not one and the same person, I don't know what to say, man, because for all the world, it sounds exactly the same. And what else can I say? I'm not going to get too involved in it emotionally. As I said to Chris, or as I said to Paper, if I'm wrong, I will apologize, and apologize profusely. But if that's the worst thing anyone has said about you, I don't think you can be doing too bad, although you have every right to be offended if I have wronged you. So,
hang on, Chris, what day did you say you started looking into this flat Earth, or become a flat earther, or what?
Would have been March.
I'm just trying to think what date were it. Because didn't you say it was the 11th of March? Because if it were, that's just...
you're just being conspiratorial now, Jamie. Retard.
No, I left my job on the 11th of April.
That was it.
And then my travel each way was 33 miles.
Oh, yeah, that was...
Yeah.
Well, still, though, for lots of 11, 44, that's still a significant number to the conspiracy theorists.
44 is half of 88, Jamie.
Yeah.
And 44s represent death, but I'll say how you doing to Ali and Chris here, and I should probably shut up for a while, but yeah. How you
is it walrus to represent death or something?
Well, do you think so? Well,
no, that's just what I heard someone say. I think it was Anthony Riley that was saying that, actually.
That's interesting now, because one of the poems that's stressed again and again that you have to go back to in Alice Through the Looking Glass is the walrus and the carpenter, and I've taken the walrus to represent inundating oceans, right, which is a direct result as a result of the collapse of the giant trees. But the carpenter I've taken as a carpenter fashions dead wood, right, and produces useful items from it, but it deals in the destruction of trees in the first place. So that's the representation I've taken from that. Just like the turtle, I take it to represent the age-old waters beyond, So, but yeah, I'd like to hear more about that. The walrus, what exactly that represents. But yeah, okay. I'm going to take a break for a second and have a cigarette. But yeah, cool.
Yeah,
stop sharing me, Jamie.
Yeah, I think they might have got a bit sick of seeing you dodo presented.
The dodo abides, Jamie. Let me just say, before you got sick of that, I hope you saw the USSR and the dodos back there. There's no other possible way. What other possible connection or reason could there be for the USSR been in exactly that spot on the dodos back, unless what I was saying is true? That's a Rothschild Commission dodo there from I think 1907. But unless what I've been saying is true. Now, sorry, just to say this, before I even saw the USSR written on the dodos back there, I had said that as South America wraps around, starting beginning at the tip at the dodo's bill, you will find Russia and China exactly where it said USSR there. So, yeah, I'd like to hear any other possible reasons for that USSR otherwise. So, thank you.
All right. So, you want to come on and talk about then, Ali, Chris?
Well, something that caught my attention there was the what Pete was talking about was the reflection of the moon. So yeah, maybe that warrants some further investigation. I haven't looked. I just wondered if you did a video about it.
Yeah, that's
I
what
don't think so.
That's what I was going to say as well. It was quite interesting. I still believe the moon's real, but it was.
Yeah. Because you're
It was
flat
very
out space.
Yeah, can I just right? So what I was going to say, if anybody's watched that film, the Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man Tell No Tales, just at the end of the film, right? They find the island they're looking for. Right. And the woman that was spotted it, he was reading out the book, and she said, this is the island that reflects the map that no one can read. He says it's a reflection of the stars from above. And I thought, and this whole place sort of lit up, and they showed you like the Milky Way on this island was reflecting. And I just thought it was quite funny when I watched the film a couple of months, when it came out. I thought, fuck, man, but I just see it as I see the moon as a real thing, but it kind of ties in as well with that stratus at night time, where you don't see the stars, where you normally don't see the stars, and then when them students put up the filter, suddenly the stars appeared in all their fucking glory. Yet in all videos that don't use a filter, when they go up there and look about, there's no stars to be seen, and they say it's light pollution. I don't buy that at all. I think that they don't manifest. So I believe that if there's the atmosphere or whatever, some part of our atmosphere, it manifests the energy or the source or whatever, wherever this source is coming from, and it does actually reflect off the sky or part of our atmosphere. But you can't see them from space unless you have like a filter.
Mean from the lower pressure environment? The
lower pressure environment, yeah. You can't see them from there because these students, they were struggling. The first ones, the Spanish ones from Madrid, they were struggling for months and months and months to get photographs of the fucking stars on these balloons. They kept sending balloons up, and they were trying all different filters, and then they discovered the filter, and they got the first picture. And then I think it was this year, Swedish students or whatever went down to Germany, and they sent a balloon up with a filter on it that replicates and there it was fucking awesome anyway. But you could see them, and I was thinking, that's what I've repeated this a load of times, I was thinking, I wonder if I was right next to that balloon, would I see the stars? And I thought, well I couldn't, could I really? If a normal camera sort of kind of picks up the same light as us, can't take it unless you put a filter on it, so there's definitely something that happening up there that's strange, and they won't tell us. They're hiding shit about what's going up there.
What do you think, Ali? Sorry, Chris, I was just going to say, what do you think, Ali, if you could for yourself locate the Milky Way on the moon between the two craters I've suggested, and you could clarify?
That really was when I first seen you do that. I was like, wait a minute here, and I was watching. I was like, fuck's sake, man! It is very it's more than I haven't looked right into it, but you done enough of a little thing. How did you end up stumbling across that? Did someone put you onto that, or did you? Where did you fucking get? Where did you suddenly see that, or did someone send you that?
I saw that. No, it came out of my own brain just as a process of realizing that we're dealing with a hall of mirrors. Again, you have to sort of
but how did you get the connect? How did you actually go, oh look, that looks like the Milky Way? What were you doing at the time that it suddenly came to you like that? You thought, oh fuck.
Okay, so I accepted that we're dealing with reflections, right? And I accepted in my own brain that the face of the moon is the face of the sun, and the stars and the moon, the planets have no existence outside the face of the sun. So we should be able to see all the stars on the moon somewhere. And then I just clicked me. The
Milky Way. The Milky Way, because I tell you, that's fucking, honestly, I have to say, Pete, of all the stuff you've done, I went, I'm impressed, mate. I really am, because that is
but even, Ali, even better than that, right? The Milky Way is the biggest sort of marker in the sky, right? The Great Rift. But that's
I was looking at it tonight. I was out.
When you look at the moon, one particular swathe is what I call it, sticks out, and it looks remarkably like the Milky Way. The minute I had the suspicion, and I looked at the moon, I said, "Look at that there, that," and I was afraid to go near it to examine it closer because the implications would have been so great. I felt like, So that was about 3 months ago, and only recently I just sat down and made that comparison, and I can safely say, yesterday or the day before, I clarified it 100%.
Yeah, so that's
100% a reflection, or not a reflection, an aspect, one in the same,
Well, it's a mimic. I don't know whether it's a reflection. But I have to say, it certainly looks the same when you look at it. Anybody, even a ball earther, but they won't admit it. They won't. They'll just say
They won't, but they have to, Ali. You see, and how are they going to explain it?
It's just a coincidence, like how the
But it's very interesting.
The sun and moon just happen to look the same size and all that.
It really is weird. It's like, I don't think it's that case. There's a psychological condition where we kind of see patterns in the clouds and stuff like that. But
this is
that's
beyond
not but that's not that condition because I thought
beyond that. The beauty of this is that every single person themselves will be able to clarify this for themselves. They can get a high definition picture of the Milky Way and even the names, Ali, the names of the craters, Eratosthenes.
That made me think who actually named it. I was actually going to investigate you doing that. I haven't done it yet, but I thought a mental note. I'm going to find out who actually named the parts of the moon. No, actually, who gave the names to it? Because I know that most of the stars are Arabic, right? But the moon, I'm not sure about. It'd be quite interesting to look into actually who named all the the Sea of Tranquility and all that kind of shit. I think that would be quite interesting. I might actually do that as my next.
Greater implications of it are that if the Milky Way can be found on the moon, then the rest of the constellations, the other 88 constellations, will be found on the moon as well. And it shouldn't be that difficult a task because we know their relative positioning in relation to the Milky Way. The Milky Way is there 100%. That's all you can say. Once you get so many matching points, you just have to call it. It's the same fucking.
Yeah, it's beyond coincidence.
No, it can't be.
Yeah,
it can't be.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely what I think. That's beyond. Well, in my opinion, as I say, I've only watched a wee bit of it. I haven't actually went really looked into it. I have to say, on the face of it, man, it's beyond coincidence kind of thing at the moment. But it's fucking wild anyway. You blew me away with that. I think that's about the only time you've done that. I think it's the only time that, because I said to I was sat there and I was watching the thing because I think I watched it after God. I was like, for fuck's sake, man, that's fucking weird. I started resonating with it. I was like, oh fuck, man. Oh no, I don't mean oh no, but I mean I will. Really, man. It's like one of the moments that if it is fuck it, I mean it's fucking awesome anyway. Yeah.
Well, to me, and as I said, I've gone beyond because the same thoughts are in my mind all along. So to explain that, what's happening there, what is that? I stick to what I say. The moon has no separate existence, or the planets or the stars outside of the sun. And when we look at the face of the moon, we're looking at that's what I've compared the sun to be a lightsaber, Ali. So it's a decapitated tree. That pattern has been reflected, and when we look at the face of the moon, we're actually
eternal Padawan lightsaber.
Right, or Luke Skywalker. That's what's happening, So, this is.
So what do you think then, Chris? What did you think of that? Like, did you see what Pete done?
No, I haven't watched it. No.
Oh fuck, man. Right, okay.
So I'd like to see how ballers are going to explain it. But even in terms of flat earthers as well, there's still a lot of controversy regarding what exactly the sun and the moon are, and I'm still sticking to what I'm saying is the cause of all of this, which again, once you get into flat earth in the first place, everything sort of becomes fantastical, right? So
yeah, but that was just, that's probably the closest hit. That thing that you done. That's why.
What do you think it blows the door out of the water?
I was thinking, my first thought was how the fuck did you stumble across it? You know what I mean? Because it's quite it's like and you've told me how you done it. I thought, well, fucking fair play to you for because it's quite an awesome little thing. It's still even thinking about it now. It's definitely very curious. It gets curiouser and curious. A little bit of Alice in Wonderland reference there.
I get it, yeah, and indeed it does. But the more, again, I just encourage everyone to clarify that we're dealing with one and the same thing for themselves, and then you'll have to think about the implications. In my own brain, I've settled with these thoughts for the last, as I said, I've had that thought for the last 3 months. I've often talked about it on my own hangout. I said to Del, well, there's something bigger than the dodo, and I was just hanging on to it. Again, I was almost not afraid to go near it, but just the implications of it are astounding to me anyway, because how can astrophysics explain it away, you know? How can they do it? If everyone does their own investigation and comes to the same realization, as I say you must do, because I've clarified it 100%, then it needs explaining, and I can't see any way the ballers can explain it in any sense whatsoever. Why would the Milky Way be found upon the face of the moon if the moon is a solid object with a sort of a fixed look to it, including all these craters? So, yeah, and even the term craters on the moon, it does look, well, we don't know what we're looking at. First of all, you know, when we look up at the sky, we have this preconceived notion built into it that this is how a solid body looks in the sky. But if it was never a solid body in the first place, then we can't say what we're looking at, really. We can equate it to craters that we might see on Earth, but beyond that, we're very limited. What I say is it's the interface of a decapitated tree. That's as close. I think we've been led, especially within Alice in Wonderland. The theme comes up again and again, you know, and yeah, the energies are still emanating and transmitting. It's just the distribution system of the energies has been destroyed, and that's the tree being decapitated. And now we're dealing with a lightsaber that's bouncing around a reflective contoured surface above, and we're getting all manner of light effects. And as I said, Mark Sargent told us from the get-go, we're inside a planetarium. So you might think about it, how a planetarium might work to get that distribution of light pattern that we see when we do enter the planetarium.
Yeah, I don't go with that Mark Sargent, and I don't go with anybody that does that simulation theory shit, because you're just using it in that gematria as well. What you're basically doing when you put all these numbers and letters and stuff like that, these are all made up by man. Maths was made up by man, and it was a way of explaining things. Nature doesn't work with maths. So bringing all these gematria and all these kind of esoteric numbers and all that shit, you know, it's man's belief. It's only man's belief, so it's not really got fuck all to do with nature. It might have came out of man's mind, but it's certainly got fuck all to do with nature, because it's all probabilities. Maths is all based on probabilities. If you actually look into maths, nothing's definite.
Right.
And so for me to even take that, so I agree.
I agree, but I agree that math cannot be applied
that
to
Fibonacci
reality. Math cannot be applied to reality to describe it, right? But where math can be applied to is in terms of any puzzles, you know. So if you have a puzzle and you have questions and a pathway that leads you to a solution, then you can use various ciphers.
But not a puzzle of nature, though. You know, not really a puzzle of nature. They don't even know what magnetism is. You can't even get. Yeah, but I'm saying I know they use it and stuff like that, but they're only measuring the reaction.
What about 9.81 meters per second squared of acceleration?
Yeah, but that could have been any number, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's just like you said. It's
right. Like, who made up time? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that was man. Okay, it's got fuck all to do with nature.
But if it was like, if meters was different, then the number would be different. You know, if it was like,
you have to define nature, Ali. What is nature?
Nature's a happening. That's about all I can say. It's a growing. It's a growing and a dying. It's a process of growing and dying. And that's it.
I say we live in a broken system, and time, sort of as we know it, only came into existence as a result of this broken system. You know, we judge time.
This isn't a broken system. This is a great fucking system. It's just that there's some people in power that are just fucking it up.
Well, I say it's broken from. That's why we have the broken sun. Like, that's why we have conditions drastically different from previous conditions. I mean, do you see Earth's evolution in terms of billion years, or how do you?
I honestly think, right, I don't get a grip. If we've been around for billions of years, right, or whatever they say, a billion year or 100, you know, they're finding fucking these imaginary fucking humanoid things things and dating them back. But the thing is I can't understand. I can't get to grip with the concept, right? If we've been around for so long, how the fuck is it, right? Just in the last maybe 120 years, science has suddenly came in and they could say, oh, someone would have invented this shit ages ago.
Yeah, exactly. This whole gravity thing, 400-year-old theory that's come about.
So therefore, I actually do believe. So I don't know. So it's like a belief, and I'm well entitled to my beliefs. I actually believe that there was not an advanced civilization, but I think we were a lot more advanced than we were. Some kind of catastrophic event that is written.
What do you think, like a flood, maybe?
But like it's 3 events in science. I'll admit there's been 3 events that have happened, and the most recent one was about 10,000 years ago, right? And whatever. But there's been 3 major events that has caused, been catastrophic events, so they say, right? So not quite. And that story when Noah's Ark and that could be just an analogy of what actually happened. There was a flood, and they weren't the only people. Noah wasn't the only person. I mean, there could have been another part of the flat Earth that people survived. But this story is prevalent in every single fucking mythology, going back to Sumerian, Egyptian, Chaldean, even Norse. They talk about the creation. They talk about things. It's just like there seems to be a fundamental story there that's been written into different and given different pictures. Different Bibles and kind of stuff like that. So I look at the Bible and I look at the other things as there's a bit of proof in there that I think and here's one thing, right? The sea level, apparently, according to their science, used to be 190 feet or 200 feet lower. Now, imagine that. See, instead of Atlantis sinking, because they say it sank, how about the water level rose? Instead of, because when we say it sunk, we imagine this continent, which makes it even more harder to conceive, this whole continent just fucking collapsing, or this whole island collapsing. What happens if it was the water level just rose and it fucking, for some reason, it's the water's coming from below, man. This in the Bible even says that the waters come from below. I think it was in Revelations or something like that. Now, that could have been the catastrophe, that could have been the description of one the last catastrophe, when all that could be analogies of, the stars or something exploding or something, whatever, happening. And so that's just my kind of thing. So instead of actual picturing, now when I think of Atlantis, where I found out about the water level being, according to science, 200 feet lower, that brings back a lot of land, man. You know what I mean? And the thing is, that 120 feet, I mean, if you've got a gradient from, say, from shallow waters, I mean, that's still, so you've got that flat bit of land, and then you've got the slope, maybe it's a mountain, if the water receded.
Shallow curved water.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, curved waters in chat, actually.
So there's clues.
It's actually been kind of, deleted, but yeah, I was asking Pete if he could provide a side-by-side comparison for this, the Milky Way thing. I think it was on the map.
Okay, Jamie, let me share my screen.
Do that, Pete. Go for it. Let me share my screen. The last one that you done, mate, because that was.
What I'll do is I'll just play a little bit of what I did played last night, and you'll get the overlay and you get the general idea if you didn't see it. So I'll do that briefly.
Yeah, I'd like to see it.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I was kind of, but as I say, I've got to look into it deeper, but, Pete, I have to say Pete's done enough.
Yeah, I said I've clarified it as well. Let me just put that in full screen.
That's all you're looking at here. Simple as that.
So hang on, let me just...
So from to...
Just turn the volume down on it, Pete.
Okay, hang on. Okay, I'm getting confused now.
So just going back and forth, you can see it's as close as we can. Absolutely perfect, but it's pretty close. What I've done is, if you look at this area here, we have one plastic solid matter, and then you have a little break of dark matter, and then you have a solid island sticking out here. That's one reference point. Down as well. It overlays pretty well.
Okay, yeah. So let me just pause it there. Well, this is just a general view, right? So I've before that I've got.
So you believe that the Milky Way is being projected onto the moon, then?
No, the moon isn't.
Oh yeah, because you said so. It's projected on. So is it projected onto the sun, which is projected onto the moon?
I know, man. It takes a bit to get your
Well, it
mind
sounds
wrapped.
a bit like the Ireland von Vicious stuff. TARDIS is within a TARDIS stuff.
Well, I mean, what can I say to that? I mean, I've clarified that this swathe is the Milky Way, right? So you have to wrap your brain around what might be happening. As I said, my explanation is the moon. When we look at the moon, we're looking at the interface of the sun. So as that energy has been projected up through the interface of the sun, it's been distributed around the contoured barrier, which we see in the form of the stars and the planets. When we look at the moon, we're looking particularly at the face itself of the sun. So the stars and the planets are the face of the sun dispersed, if you know what I mean. It's a bit difficult to explain, but I just did the rough overlay here, but I've been through all the different intersection points, and as I say, it's 100% match. And the implications of that as well, which I haven't done to this point, are that all the constellations should be found on the face of the moon as well. So what you should be doing, again, as an individual, is, after hearing this, finding the best picture you can. That's the best picture I could find of the Milky Way here, and there are not too many around, and the best picture of that section of the moon, and do that comparison yourself. And as I've said, I'm absolutely satisfied that you'll find, just like I found, that we're dealing with a complete match here. How are you going to describe that in terms of your own thinking beyond that? Well, that's up to you. I have offered my own explanation, and again, I'm satisfied. Fantastical as it sounds, but I'm satisfied at the minute, because that's where I've been all along with it. So
yeah, well, it is spooky though, Pete. I have to say, it is. I mean, fucking hell, man. I'm not easily impressed, but that there is. But as I say, it might be, but it's definitely. I mean, for real,
it is, Ali. I've zoomed in
for real. I know, but
made a different comparison.
I've seen it.
Just I've done that here as well, and you can see that the same patterns repeating. But I've done especially a few different areas down here, and there's lots of different S's. This is a good high quality picture of the moon. But yeah, when you zoom in, you see all the different component parts.
Yeah, but stars matching up and stuff like that. I know, or a few stars, But even if some are off, though, Pete, it's like if you're finding like 20 or 10 points of reference, the more points of reference you find, the more kind of fucking, and it's already
and that's what
it's very interesting. I have to say.
That's what I've said, Ali. I've found more and more points of reference, and after a certain point, then I have to make a call. We're dealing with the same thing. So how that comes about, what exactly is the cause and effect here? That's up to the individual to question. First of all, you'll have to satisfy yourself that this is the case, and I am satisfied that it is the case. So yeah, can I leave that there, or is there any other question?
NASA's going to put out what's going to happen, and Chris will laugh at this as well, because we've noticed this a couple of times. It happened. What's happening, because you've mentioned this, and you can always tell when a flat earther hits the nail on the head, because like a week later or 2 weeks later, out of the blue, there's a news report on about explaining exactly what's just pointed out. You know what I mean? So I think if the best way to judge this is if everybody keeps an eye on having a look at it, watch out for this, for this. What it's talking
it's a bit beyond the damage control.
Yeah, but they do this. I've seen it. They've done it with the SpaceX rockets. I pointed out something and I hammered it for about a month or so, and then suddenly they changed something about it. It was just too blatantly obvious. They stopped showing certain telemetry because I was questioning what was happening when apparently something, just something strange happened. I'm not going to go into it because nobody believes in rockets anyway, so it's pointless. But as I say, I noticed something, and then all of a sudden, the next rocket launch I watched, the whole concept was fucking changed. And I think you've got a thing as well, Chris. Huh? You were telling me something.
Why would they take it down then if it's all just part of the game? Then, Pete,
I'm saying that this is unraveling, and even the names themselves of the.
Well, they can't make it too easy. That's what it is. You think it?
Well, this is why I stress here, right? Everyone has got to satisfy them, even if you're not interested. I mean, it's a challenge, isn't it? Satisfy yourself that this is or isn't the case. If it is the case, you know that it has certain big implications. And if it isn't the case, well, then you can put it to bed yourself.
Yeah, exactly. It won't take long to do it. I mean, you've not really left much to do, Pete.
No.
You know, you've got your...
No, and there's people with better Photoshop skills than me, so they can find a high definition picture of the Milky Way, do the same with the Eratosthenes to Eudoxus crater, and skew them and stretch them and get them to match perfectly. Then you're going to have an easier way of comparing it. I don't have those skills. But yeah, again, I'm satisfied that you're going to find the same as I found. You can't but help do it.
Well, can I just point something out?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if that's what you're seeing on the moon, who's to say that what we're not seeing up on in the firmament is projected from the moon?
Well, you have to. Well, what I would say to that, Chris, is you have to define in your own terms and what the moon is, right? So, in my thinking, well, sorry, Jamie, yeah, or isn't, because that's what I've been saying. So it's just in terms of my thought process. That's how I would go about describing it. I've already described what I think the moon is, which is a separate object outside of the sun. But obviously, you're free. I guess, let's say.
So, what do you think's happening with eclipses then?
Well, I mean, I thought when the footage came through, it just confirmed exactly what I was saying. What I think is happening with eclipses is just a reflection coming back upon itself. So if you imagine yourself shining a laser beam into your mirror, I guess, on the opposite wall at a sort of an angle, and then you move the laser beam until it lines up and the reflection is coming right back at its source, at the source itself, you're going to have a cancellation out. That's the way I see it, you know? That's the way I see the eclipse. So again, yeah, that's just was incorporated into my thinking all this time, Chris. But I think the first step for someone like yourself or anyone who's going to try to clarify this is to make sure that it is or isn't a match to start with, and then move on to try and explaining it, you know, in whatever terms.
Because what we find the moon, if I think Flat Earth Photography has actually filmed it, the actual moon rotates clockwise. If you look at doesn't it, throughout the night, which is another interesting point, I suppose. It doesn't spin.
But it's only because the sun, it's only because the sun is doing that rotational movement as well, Chris. Imagine the sun fixed doing a circle around a central point. It's going to appear to rotate clockwise, and if the moon is a reflected artifact of the sun, then it will also reflect the movements of the sun itself. So
yeah, it's one of the two anyway, right? There's two possibilities. There's the two. If that's a reflection, there's the two possibilities. That it's either the sun doing it or it's the moon doing it. It's one of the two, but it's definitely there's something in it anyway. I always believed the answer was in the moon. Every time I look up at the fucker, there's something bugging me about it. Even when I see it during the day, the angle of the sun and stuff like that, there's something that always bugged me about it. I believe that the fucking answer is. It's funny how nobody, they've done the sun watch or the sun tracking. I think people should do a moon tracking, and I think they'll probably find a lot more interesting shit, especially now with what Pete's just kind of pointed out. I think we should be looking at the moon rather than the sun. Personally myself, but that's just me, as I say. That's what because as I say, every time I look at the fucking moon, I'm like, there's something fucking there. It's there. The answer's there. Every single answer to this whole fucking flat.
Well, you could track its positions in relation to the Milky Way.
Yeah, well, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and then see if there's any kind of
This is where. Actually, Jamie, this is where the planosphere comes into things as well. So you could sort of get the moon and the planosphere. I think what's his name, AJ, has done a complete map of the night sky and the constellation. So you could get something like that, scale it up or down to the moon size, and overlay one over the other, having the Milky Way as a reference point. And I think you'll get a pretty close match in terms of locating the constellations on the moon then as well. I mean, that are the implications. Those are the implications. If we find the Milky Way, then we'll be able to find the rest of the constellations, or the stars as we call them, on the moon as well, because it's like a template. That's how I describe it. What we're looking at is like a template. A Batman light. So you have a Batman light, and you have the little template of you have the light itself, and a little template of the Batman sign, and then that creates the contrast. So that's the way I look upon it in that sense. But they're the bigger implications as well. And if if you just take a cursory look at the moon, you can see all those potentials there, right? There are plenty of join the dots possibilities there.
Well, even if we, any of us lose this game, we'll still win a few stars. We'll still get a constellation prize.
Oh God, man, Jesus! Oh no, come on. That was painful, man. A constellation prize.
Deserves a slap for that.
Oh God. But yeah, I think we're definitely getting closer. We're definitely getting closer. But we need to watch. I think we have to watch the reaction of this, because it's quite. I think when my next hangout, I think I'll talk about it as well.
But you're kind of like, I don't know. I'm not saying fear mongering, but you're going on about all the it's kind of doom and gloom kind of stuff, really.
About what?
Just about the way you think things are going to go in the next few years.
Yeah, but if it's only doom and gloom if you take it as doom and gloom. I don't see it as doom and gloom. I see it as that's knowledge that you need to have. It's not like fucking, oh right, I get it now, right, okay. No, well that's fine, but that's what I talk about, because these things are fucking relevant, that's all,
Yeah, I suppose if you just ignore it, then it's going to make it worse, isn't it?
I don't know. It depends what everybody else thinks, but I've got my own opinion of it, and that's why I concentrate. If it's not people's cups of tea, they can go and watch something else. They can do something else. I just like to talk about things that are maybe going to affect my kid's life.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And stuff like that.
In fact,
and other people. Sorry, Chris. On you go.
No. The fact we're talking about it is getting it out there. It might lead to something else, So who knows?
It's like prepping to me. Wouldn't you want to know if I see it? Well, it's like because I am man, right? And I do believe in the thou shalt not kill and all that kind of stuff. And I also do believe if you see a crime being committed, you're obliged to fucking inform people. And I'm watching this reality that's getting presented to us is the biggest fucking crime ever against humanity. So I feel I have to, you know what I mean? That's the way I do it. That's the way I think, because I do care. I cared about you, Pete, even though we've had our falling outs. And as I say, I still made a point of fucking saying, like, where the fuck, what the fuck's happened to you? But it doesn't.
I appreciate that, Ali. Thank you.
But in the end up,
Likewise, Chris.
I have my opinion, but the thing is, I have my opinions. But the thing is, I still care about people, even my enemy. And I'm not turning the other cheek or anything like that. But it's like, as I say, if I see a crime, and I'm seeing a crime every fucking day, and I feel I'm obliged to inform people. Now, if people take it as fear porn, well, be ignorant and then wake up in a few years' time and think fucking hell and get all depressed about it. There's stuff coming that, and it's not fear porn. You have to prepare yourself mentally. If you're aware of what the future holds, you can prepare you. It's like prepping, right? But you can also prep psychologically, man, so that we don't, because people have been traumatized by finding out about the flat earth. Just wait. That's nothing. Wait to see what's coming. You know what I mean? So I think, everything's on the table. Everything can be backed up with papers and stuff like that. It's like I'm talking what I've read, not watched a video. I'm reading, I'm researching, I'm going in depth into it, and I read about these subjects, the social finances, the social, the political, and what they're planning. At this very moment, there's a representative of every single one of our countries somewhere, maybe not in Barbados or some warm climate, right, at a meeting with other representatives all together, signing away another law, another one of our rights, and you won't ever hear about it unless you go in, unless you fucking look into it, and you'll go, for fuck's sake, and go and look at the list, and then people are going to wake up and we've got nothing. Our kids have got fuck all, our grandchildren have got fuck all, and we have sat back and not done fuck all about it. And that's what I'll say to these ball earthers. See, when your fucking son or your grandson comes and they find out that this movement was going on, there was people actually shouting and bawling about what's going to happen, I just fucking, I always ask them, I said, what are you going to say to your grandson when his life's all fucked up and he comes up to you and says, Granda, what did you do? Oh, I sat on the internet and I slagged off every fucking conspiracy theory on the fucking, that's what I done. Well, that wasn't very smart then, Grandad, was it? You fucking twat. You know what I mean? Oh, well, that's it, and that's what I say, because that's what these people, they're only here to distract, and some of them are just doing it for fun. Are you fucking joking, man? Some people are just doing it for fun. Sick bastards, that's what they are. But anyway, that's why I have the chats that I have. That's why I have the hangouts and I have Chris, because we just talk about shit and we're not arguing, we're discussing, and we're just talking about topics. That's why I wouldn't mind having you on, Pete, because you know that's or someone like that. But I'm not going to have people that are going to be confrontational. I just want people to talk about it, and you can talk about whatever they like. That's why I always like having Chris on, because he knows shit, you know. But that's it. And if people want to listen, they listen. If they don't, they don't. I don't care. I'm doing my bit by informing people. That's my job. End of story. That's my fucking job done. That's me. At least I can go to bed with a clear fucking conscience to say, well, at least I'm doing something. I might not be going out and doing street interviews and stuff like that.
Right.
That's it. Rant, speech over. Sorry, I did.
It's all right.
Yeah.
It's all right, mate. I mean, like you said, we know it's flat. It's fucking flat as flat. We know that. Now on to the next bit. You know, throw everything else in there.
Enter the dodo. Stage left.
Yeah, well, the dodo's welcome.
Well, I have said it for the longest time. Like when you do, the Earth is always known flat and stationary. So when you do get to flat Earth, the dodo awaits. It's just a simple fact of matter. You're being pointed at it pretty much everywhere. And again, that's interconnected with Alice in Wonderland. Did you know Alice in Wonderland, outside of the Bible and the works of Shakespeare, is the most read and published book worldwide? So that ties nicely into my thoughts that the three works are produced by the same hand, you know, and within those three works, all your answers will be found, I suppose, in one sense. But, you know, one thing I will say is that I think for maybe, I'm just extending, but I mean, I think for a lot of flat earthers, this must be a very confusing time because you can't see, how can you see where it's going? You see the sort of turmoil in one sense and all the sort of back in fighting that's going on within flat earth.
Yeah, so, speaking of that, it's going on in the chat right now between two people. I'm
not following the chat at the minute, but we're two regulars, Jamie, is that?
Two mods in chat that, well, actually, it's Ranty calling out Chris Hayes.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why, but
I think it's because he unbanned Curve Water. I was having.
Oh yeah, I think he was saying something about unbanning trolls or something.
Yeah, he wanted Curve Water to.
Everyone knows that Curve is a troll, but I mean that's the question, isn't it? Do you just ban outright, or as long as someone remains relatively respectful, do you tolerate? These are a bigger question. People have different points of view on that as well. You feel it out, Jamie?
Yeah. So yeah, there's, you know, the dodo, you know, the what is it called, dodoisms.
Dodoisms, yeah. I still haven't been out.
Ken Dodo. I mean, the D kind of looks like an O, so you know.
But I mean,
but you know, another connection would be KD, you know, 44.
K what? KD? Okay. 44, 11, 4. Okay. Oh man, the dodo. There's so many different connections with the dodo.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean,
they really are like.
It does seem too much to be.
And I haven't even gone into. I'm not one for making short videos. I probably should do that, because if you're trying to look for what I'm trying to say, I guess you have to traipse through many hour long hangouts for the most part, which is probably not fair. But no, there is major significance in the dodo. Tom York, I mentioned that before. Radiohead, they were part and parcel of the 9/11 hoax. They produced the soundtrack in the form of Kid A, the album, in 2000 for the.
Oh well, you know, Tom Dodo egg yolk.
But even the name itself, Jamie, Thom, Thom, that's half of behemoth, right? That's and Tom Thumb, exactly. So that's half of behemoth. So you have the double connection there. Thumb backwards is behemoth. But yeah, his nickname as a child was apparently
Moth. Yeah.
Yeah, his nickname as a child was apparently Dodo. Would you believe it? Like, I mean, of all the chances, Michael Jackson made a reappearance in the form of this character who was suspected of being Michael Jackson. Anyone knows anything about Michael Jackson, you'll probably have come to the realization that you're dealing with a hoax death, more theater. So yeah, there was a suspicion that this character came back as Michael Jackson was the character, but you never gets the name of the character. Well, that's right, it was Dodo, and this is only going back 2 years ago or something, you know. So we've been pointed at the Dodo, left, right, and center. But if you don't have that sort of flat Earth foot in the door, you know what I mean, it won't sort of make sense. So that's what I talked about earlier on. none of it is too complicated, but you sort of need to have different pieces in play to move forward. That's the way I view it anyway. Just to say about how I knew Tom York and Radiohead were big players. Yeah, they did the soundtrack for the 102-minute movie, which was presented to us as live on September 11, 2001, whereas in fact it was probably made at least a year beforehand and perfected, like, you know. And when I say the soundtrack, when you play the album Kid Ace side by side with this 102-minute presentation, just before.
And another one, Radiohead, you get R, you know, for 18, and you get H for 8. So, you know, 1 times 8 times 8 is 64.
Very good, very good. And even the name Radiohead itself, what does that conjure up to you? And that only took on a different significance recently as well, when we realized that everything is about frequency and vibration. And yeah, thom, as you say, and that's where Behemoth comes into it. Setting up that frequency within will loose the cobwebs of our fractured minds, I suppose, in one sense. So I see it all interconnected like that. But it is pretty complicated and involved, isn't it? In one sense. Well, especially if you're just hearing some of this stuff now. But we've been sort of going through it on my own hangouts over the last 3 months or so. And yeah, it definitely appears to be resolved.
You know, the song, there's a song called by Radiohead called Fake Plastic Trees. I wonder what that, you know, is referring to, eh?
Yeah, brilliant song. Have a look at that. Have a look at the video for that as well. Yeah, they all know. And I know, again, the Dodo led us on to the Hidden Hand, the 8, the X, the North Center, and then the 420. So I think they all know about the 420 as well, Jamie. And 2018 always been the year. So I'm stuck at that. So I mean, anyone who knows.
Before I forget, that 2018, right?
Yeah.
It's fucking. It's an anniversary, and I'm trying to think what it is. I just you mentioning it there. It's
100 year. I just thought about the other day, Ali. It's 100-year anniversary since the end of World War I, which was the armistice, I think, was signed.
No. But it's another one. Pete. It's another one. It's what the fuck was it? Because it got me thinking. I know you talked about the war. What the fuck was it? It was like last week or something.
Okay.
I was like, oh, that's strange. I thought 2018. I thought that's fucking strange because there's a lot happening in 2018. But there's it'll come to me.
I just thought of something. Princess Beatrice. You know, 8th of the 8th, 1988. You know, the whole 88 thing. You know.
What is that? Her birthday? Fuck off.
Well, apparently they actually tried to, you know, make it that day, like on purpose or something.
Wow.
They do that. But they do that, Jamie. They do that. They actually, of course, they can control what days the bus are. They do that. They do follow all that number thing and all that. These people, they definitely believe in it.
Well,
so it's two lots of 88 there, isn't there?
Yeah, that's brilliant news, Jamie. And think about Princess Beatrice as well, BE. And that's the start of Behemoth, right? So a little connection there as well. Admiral Byrd is the same. Funny, his name is Byrd, but his birth date was the 25th of October, 1888. Now, October is 8, right? Or if you can look at it in that sense, and then you add the 2 and 5 and 1, you get 8. So it's another all 8, you know.
Yeah, but could he have been one of the good guys? Because you've already talked about, and I believe this myself, that if you know, it's like the yin and the yang. You can't have one without the other. So if there's evil, there's also good up there that's got the same. But do you think? I don't know. You know, people say that he was, but couldn't he? You know, everybody that talks kind of stuff like that. They can't all be fake. Some of them must be good because the laws of averages would say.
Well, they have to be actors, Ali. Whatever else they are, whatever the greater motivation, they are actors and they're put forward.
Yeah, but we're all actors, really. But I don't know whether he was put. Well, see, this is the thing, because these people in them days, think about this, right? They were arrogant as fuck. We were as dumb as shit. But what they've suddenly realised, you know, we were, you know, because that's the way they actually look down on us, right? So in them days, I'll look at these peasants because of but now we've got access to knowledge, man. Now we can get a hold of the books that they get, and in their private school libraries and all that stuff. Now that it's all over the fucking internet, you can go and read books that they got to read and hear history. Wait a minute, that's not what I got taught at school. So I do believe that there's good people and there's.
Oh, I believe it's all part and parcel of a great plan. That's why I say 420 is the ultimate solution, as it's the number of years from the dodo, the discovery of the dodo, which means the dodo is just the face of the flat earth following the inundation. I say that the inundation happened when the barrier collapsed and you had a changing face to the flat earth, and that's what the dodo encodes. But that was only 420 short years ago, Ali. That's where my mind is at anyway. And the 420-year...
It's more than that because the first painting was by a guy, that's Savory, and he done it in 1500 and something, right? But that's the famous dodo painting that the British Museum's got a copy of. But before that, there's diaries. 1 second, let me finish. Before that, there was diaries, right? And apparently they were meant to be only in Mauritius, right? I'll just go with it. There's actually diaries, reports of what they've done is they described these birds, and what they done, on the voyage back, they used to slaughter them, right, and eat them on the way back on the ships coming back from Mauritius. Now, this is only, as I say, it's just, how history is fake as fuck. But there's actual, they do get mentioned, but further back, like in 1490s or 80s or something like that, but just before the 15th century. Now, it still could be fake, and it could be part of a bigger plan, but around that time is when everything started changing, man. This paradigm kind of, when all philosophers came out, and then, as you say, the writers, all the people came out. It was, and then you go into the 16th century, 1600s. You've got fucking Newton, Kepler. You've got all these, and then from then on, it's just been a weird road. Religion and science is kind of taken. They're kind of in bed together, kind of thing.
Well, the dodo was said to be discovered in 1598, Ali. So that's sort of official history. So if there's accounts of it beforehand, I don't think I've come across them anyway.
Well, I've done a video. You should go and watch my last hangout. I've done a wee thing on the dodo.
Oh, nice one, man.
Yeah, I did. I've got pictures. I've got paintings. I even looked into Lewis Carroll. Well, you can go back, or I can. But I've found paintings. I've actually, there's like, you'll be surprised. But as I say, it could still be fake because
it's definitely fake. It's definitely fake. It's 100% certainly fake. Did you know
there's an artist? There's an artist called Bugle the Elder or something, right, or something like that. He was a painter, and he used to paint scenes with loads of animals. And he's a painter from 1611, I think. But that
was the year that the Bible supposedly came out.
In the end up, what he does was he would hide dodos into all his paintings.
Wow.
Which is his weirdest. Well, exactly. I was like, well, that's weird. So I was thinking, I don't know. I don't know, but there's loads of paintings of him. You should look into the guy, man. It was quite interesting.
Yeah, I'll have a look at your hangout, Ali. But anything is fine after 1598. So if he was around 1611 painting dodos, that's fine. But the official story.
The first painting was by that guy Savory, a guy called Savory or whatever. Okay, but you'll check it out.
Okay, I will do that. As I said, that's the official date given anyway. It's 1598 when the Dutch were said to discover the dodo. Would you believe? Again, this is just
in Mauritius. It was in Mauritius.
Yeah, in Mauritius. Yeah. The dodo was found next to giant turtles and elephant birds. Ali.
Right. So listen to this then, Pete. Right. One of the paintings. Right. You should go and look at my hangout then, because what you said, I didn't know about the giant turtles. But in one of the one of the drawings, it was one of the drawings is a drawing of an island. Right. You've got these guys with big like spears with an axe on it, kind of thing, sitting on top. Two guys sat on top of a huge turtle. Plus, there was 5 guys in what I looked like. I thought that looks like an upside down turtle shell. I even said it in my thing, and you've just said there's fucking things. You have to look at it, man. You've just.
I have that capture, Ali, and it's fucking so informative. It really is. But the general idea being that, as I said before,
but they used the shell as a boat, and actually, I was like that looks like an upside down shell, but you could actually see it was like one of the what do you call the round fucking little things that you can make yourself. Ray Mears makes them. It's a stupid little boat. You make it out of skin. It's dead simple to make. I can't remember, but it's round. But it looked exactly like that.
Well, that's what I have said. Anything regarding the narrative associated with the dodo is all representative and metaphorical or symbolic or significant in terms of something else.
Symbolic. Yep, I think you're right there, because I was thinking, right, there was a lot of satire going on at that time, right? And I think because it was that age where these artists were criticising everybody, just the same as it is today. But instead of feeling the wrath of the church or whatever, that kind of thing, they would make paintings, but like with esoteric meanings. So I was thinking that the dodo might have been representing a certain, maybe might have been the Pope or a member of the fam. I don't know.
No. Well, I mean, anything is possible, but I'm pretty settled on. Well, I solved the 2015 Economist cover, Ali. I think you might have seen that as well. But the solution to that, the hidden puzzle, is Mauritius and the dodo. So we've put it all into place. The dodo represents the face of the flat Earth. The elephant bird represents the elephants, and then the giant turtles represent the turtle. So it's this is a cartoony picture we get of the flat Earth as it swims through the oceans on the back of a giant turtle. But I've talked about this before as well. It's within fact. Fact is
the dirtle.
What's that, Jamie?
Dirtle.
Well, that's so it's with new eyes. We sort of have to. I think we have to look at these things, and the truth has always been encoded there, and it's always been known by some as well. So whatever we're going through now is being unraveled and on sort of wrapped for us, and this is the new realm we're into. Ultimately, why we're learning all this now? Well, the time is right. So, especially since 2001. This has always been playing out. And that's why I say the 420-year grade work. And the way I see it, it's about the restoration of the barrier to previous state, intact state.
Jamie, could I share my screen?
Yeah.
Right.
I'll just make sure you don't share the link.
Just to say, Ali.
Can you see that? Can you see my screen? Oh, hang on. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Right. Can you see the screen? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Good. Right. That's the original drawing. This is the book, right? The dodo. And there's a guy. It's Roland Savory, right? And it was. Here we go. It's a great book. This is like a list of all the. Let's forget all that. I'll show you the pictures. This is apparently the bones that they came back with, right? Just apparently, right? Blah blah blah. You need to read this yourself. But it's got a list of all the pictures. Hang on. All the paintings of all the different paintings. Oh, right, there's one there. That was right. That's meant to be the dodo, and it's funny because this guy Savory, he done a lot of wildlife drawing, so it was all real animals. But anyway, let's go further. This is not that's just his life story there at the moment. Hang on.
The dodo was said to have one egg, of all things. It kind of reminded me of Humpty Dumpty, right?
Hang on, let's just get down here. That was the bones. All right, wait a minute. No, that's the end of it. Hang on. It's another one. Hang on. Never mind. Stop sharing me. Hang on, I'll stop sharing. Hang on. That's it.
Nice, Ali. There's so many links. I have 1,000,001 links, and if you want any...
It's okay. It's all right. It's not the one I wanted to show you anyway.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Sorry, but it was kind of but that was the guy Savory. That's the guy that done the original painting of the dodo, Roland Savory. Let's see when he was around, but I think he did do it in the 1600s. But I'm sure there was one. Roland Savory. Roland. He was Dutch as well.
I was just thinking about Lewis Carroll and Roland, just that similarity there. But did you know Lewis Carroll, his name was Charles Dodgson, but because he was said to have a stammer, he was known as Dodo Dodgson. So he also was said to relate. He was also said to relate to the character the dodo more than any other character in terms of the Alice in Wonderland book. But when you think about it, you go, what? The dodo makes such a brief appearance and is pretty significant insignificant in the greater scheme of things, that we're being led to this point purposefully. And just to say as well, I mentioned all this before. I went on to listen to John Gielgud doing a reading of Alice in Wonderland, right? And all I got to it was chapter 3. I was waiting for the dodo and waiting for the chapter to enjoy that, when fucking no sign of it. He just completely left out chapter 3, so he jumped straight from chapter 2 to chapter 4. and didn't say a dicky bird about chapter 3. So again, we're being pointed to the significance of it on many different fronts. But if you don't have a context to it, then you won't be able to see how it all gels together. But I haven't thought about that in a while, actually. But I have loads of links.
Yeah, I know it's like a minefield out there, mate.
Yeah.
Hunting down the truth, it's not an easy fucking task.
But
Alison's asking for your thoughts on Aesop's fables.
The Greek writer, they were all analogies, they were all proverbs, weren't they? Really, wasn't he the first one? Didn't he the fox?
Asking Pete, sorry.
Oh, sorry, Pete. Sorry. All right.
Well, I agree with Ali as well. Yeah, there's all valuable lessons to be learned from them. I haven't looked into Aesop in terms of any sort of hidden occulted meaning. I did buy a book a few years ago, that I read to my son, but I haven't looked back into that with any greater. And of course, you do have you have the turtle and the hare is a most famous Aesop's fable, and of course, both appear in Alice in Wonderland as well. That'd be something to look at with new eyes, wouldn't that? To see, again, another anonymous sort of author. So you can be sure that all of these stories, and again, anything that is presented to us as children will be encoded with core truths. That's certainly the way I look upon things at this stage. But yeah, thanks for that reminder. Take a look at that again, some of the stories especially. I wonder, is there any Aesop fables involving dodos, Jamie? What do you reckon? But yeah, I think that's ultimately the most important point, though. Like children, we have to become and realize that the truth is encoded. You don't have to go away and study fucking 10 years for law to get a grasp on the truth. I think that's one thing we've learned coming away from the whole heliocentric lie, and we have a reevaluation where we will find true encoded knowledge. And as I said, back to the nursery rhymes, back to the children's games you used to play, and the earlier you can go back, I think the better. I often talked about going back to the nursery or the children's nursery, not the nursery room, the lullaby, rockabye baby on the treetop. When the wind blows, the cradle will rock. When the bough breaks, the cradle will fall. Down will come baby, cradle and all. Very strange, sort of lyrically wise song to be singing to your loved one. Not very soothing or calming in the first place. But yeah, when you look at it in a different light, lots of truth being told at us. So definitely go back to some of Aesop's fables again and see what occurs.
Yeah, Jamie, I'm going to put a link in the side chat here. If you want to, this is a link to anybody that wants to get a hold of any the Aesop's fable. If they're interested in looking into the books, there's a link if you want to post it in the chat, and I'll give the book if anybody wants to. If anybody's wondering what we were talking about there or who.
Right, so I'll just copy that and put it in the main chat. So
it takes you to a web page. There's loads of books on Aesop's fables, so there's podcasts. You can get videos as well if you want. If whatever, it'll cater for anybody that wants to, just because it's quite interesting. They're like little proverbs and stuff like that. But you'll see actually when you read them, you'll go, oh, that sounds like a cartoon I've seen, but it'll be like different characters and stuff like that. It's like they've rehashed all the. Nothing's original. When you look at, like, for example, if you look at science, I mean, it's like how can you have something negatively charged? It doesn't make sense. It's either charged or it's not.
No, you can. In terms of electrostatics, you can have something negatively charged.
Yeah, but what does it mean? What's negative?
A negative charge.
Yeah, but what does negative mean?
Opposite to positive.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. That's esoteric, though, isn't it? That's what I'm saying about the science. I mean, there's no proof of a negative charge. It's only what they tell you a negative charge is. They've just made up a name for it.
Well, that's what some people are saying. Gravity is positive and negative charge.
Alternative universes, man. You've got different. If you read a book called the Kabbalion, it explains everything to you, and then you just compare what the esoteric, and then look at what science is with their alternative universes, their string theory, their cause and reaction. Everything's there, and it's like the seven principles, man. It's got 7 principles of nature, and it's not. It doesn't tell you the cause of it. What's causing it?
There's some people saying gravity is electric. electrostatic. Could that be true?
Well, I think it's more to do with pressure, because ever since I found out about the vacuum,
Because some are saying what's determining up and down, and some are saying it's electrostatic or something.
I think we're pushed down here. I think we're actually, because of the pressure, I don't think it's buoyancy. I think pressure can explain everything that they say that buoyancy misses out. I don't know what they say, buoyancy doesn't.
What's causing the pressure then?
Well, from above, or whatever, the atmosphere, whatever it is. But I believe and it could be the pressure or the atmosphere could be held through magnetism or static electricity or whatever. It could be held by that, but I believe it's the pressure of it that's holding us down. It's not the electrostatic, it's the electrostatic that's holding the atmosphere, which holds us down.
Well, yeah, some say, we should be just float, or we should just be like, there shouldn't be like an up and down direction.
It's more compact, right? You know, if you're like, for example, if you're in water, for example, you can feel it getting heavier around you, can't it?
Yeah, because you're in a denser medium.
Well, exactly. So if you were, for example, if you were able to stand on something down there without floating, you would feel it. But we've got air in our lungs, so it's kind of.
It's just this density and buoyancy thing. It's not a complete explanation.
No, that's why I say pressure.
Because density and buoyancy doesn't explain why an object falls at 9.81 meters per second squared, does it?
But see, it could be a mixture of. Yeah, but who says that it falls exactly at that? You know.
Well, true. Has anyone actually?
Remember this is made up, isn't it? These are numbers. These are numbers invented by man to explain a phenomenon in nature, and they've just assigned it numbers. I mean, if you really, maybe in our counting, if we drop something, yeah, we would see it. But if we like tuned in microscopically and timed it precisely, there probably would be a difference. They don't fall exactly the same, but because the difference is so small, we just can't see it. So they go, well, that's good enough. It's 9.8 seconds per meter square. That'll do. When it's not really an explanation. It's not precision. They're not precise. They keep using.
Well, they're like, if you drop a bowling ball and a football at the same time, from the same height, they'll hit the floor at the same time. And they say that proves gravity is a constant and all that. And no,
but then it gets debunked when you go into the vacuum chamber, right?
Yeah, and then when you do it in different mediums, obviously in water, it's going to slow it down, isn't it?
Yeah, but they use it. They use that vacuum experiment as.
Well, there is no such thing as a vacuum, is there? Really?
Yeah, but even that, they say that proves gravity. But wait a minute, right? We've got three things.
Well, they say that there's only microgravity,
but they've got three things, right? They've got three things, right, on the outside. Outside a vacuum chamber, right? There's three things at work that they say. There's gravity. We've got gravity. We've got the mass of the objects, and we've got the atmosphere, right? So we go into a vacuum chamber. What is missing from that vacuum chamber? Atmosphere. So all that experiment only proves that objects fall at the same speed in an environment with lower atmosphere. It's got fuck all. It doesn't prove gravity. Gravity's still there unless it can't get through the metal vacuum chamber. The mass
there's still pressure though. It's just very minute.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It falls the same rate on the outside, even with the atmosphere. But all that's proven is it'll fall at the same speed without the atmosphere. Nothing to do with proving gravity or anything like that. Logically, it doesn't follow because gravity is still there in the equation. The mass of the object is still there. The only thing that is missing from that equation is the atmosphere and the pressure on the outside, the atmosphere. So it's like it's a false comparison that they use.
Why does it fall at the same rate without the atmosphere or whatever? That's what they'll probably be.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. There's no atmosphere though. That's all it is. It doesn't matter. They can see.
Why doesn't it just float if there's no atmosphere? That's what they'll probably say.
No, but there's still you've still got the what do you call it? You've still got you're still inside. You're still inside an atmosphere as such.
A vacuum isn't an atmosphere, is it?
Well, it is, isn't
unless it's not a perfect vacuum.
Well, as near as damn it. I mean, all right. If you take away the ground, the sea, right, everything that we know, and you drop two things, when will it stop?
So be like, what's causing it to fall? Or
yeah, I mean,
if there's nothing pushing it, then what's causing it to fall?
We're in a contained environment, right? And the easy way that man can explain the way things fall is by saying it's gravity. It's falling to a bigger object. It's the gravitational pull of it. When in actual fact, this whole environment, this closed system has been designed so that we just go back to the land or, the sea, you try and...
That's the Occam's razor explanation, isn't it?
Okay, so the same reason why we fall to the land is the same reason why the sun and the moon are up there, right? So even if you get up nearer the sun, we see it's pretty local, and we jump out, we're still going to fall, and we're at a lower pressure up there. So Ali was talking about the pressure that's keeping us down. When we're above that pressure, we still fall towards it.
Chris, do you hold that there's waters beyond? Do you hold that there's a physical barrier that's holding back some material of different constituency once you get to a certain point?
Well, it's not been proven as such, has it? We don't have the answers. The only people that do have the answers aren't going to readily tell us. But there has to be within this contained environment to maintain the atmosphere. I believe it's contained. I think there's a barrier of some sort up there. Yeah, it has to be.
Well, I think my own thoughts on that are there is an electromagnetic barrier holding back the waters beyond. Obviously, a much different density than anything below it. So just because with equal and opposite reaction, that force or that reaction that we're on is ether force, which I think is, again, it's an unnatural system. We live in a broken system, but we're within this Earth's magnetic field, or the field that's holding back the waters beyond. And just like water particulates evaporate and find their null zone within that field at the cloud layer, we are also looking at solid matter to find our own null zone. And I said that before, I think it's about, if you dig 8 miles, 10 miles down, something like that, and you jump in a hole, then we would just find our null point. And Phuket Word, Nick posted a video a while back showing this, I think it was like a spherical magnetic field, and no matter where you threw in a frog or a strawberry, it would always make its way to this null point in the center. So that's the way I see gravity working, in terms of this all-prevailing ether.
Yeah, we have no ability to measure the Earth's magnetic field higher up. We have no idea what the hell it's doing up there. We just say that this is the Earth coming from the South Pole to the North Pole. Well, the North Pole is actually the South Pole of the magnet, right? Yeah. Now, we have no idea about what the strength or what the flux density is higher up. We have no idea. It could be quite a few hundred Teslas for all we know. All we know is that we're in the magnetic field where the field, we can measure the lines of the magnetic density down here on Earth, but that's all we get. Even animals apparently use the magnetic field to actually navigate when they migrate. They're inbuilt sort of sensors like homing pigeons and stuff. So, but we're not receptive to that. But we can measure it, but we don't know what it looks like higher up. It could be something phenomenal that we are completely unaware of. Yeah, but it still doesn't make us. Well, as far as we know, we would still fall back to the Earth, irrespective of if we were even in a magnetized suit, so whether it's magnetics or electrostatics, I still don't know. Again, I'll just go back to what I was saying. If it was that simple, we'd be even simpler to even understand it. So gravity, I just think that this environment that we're in, it's been designed so that we fall back to the land. And it's a cop-out by saying it's the gravitational pull of the Earth.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
Oh, it's just some fantastical theory, isn't it? It's at best.
Well, if gravity didn't exist, then man would invent it.
Yeah, or someone who wanted to be smart, seems smart.
Well, yeah, because if we were on a ball, then we would need, because unless you were at the North Pole, you'd be kind of falling up. But then again, you'd fall off everywhere, wouldn't you? If there were no gravity, because because in their model where there is no up and down, and it's just crazy. They had to kind of invent it as a scapegoat, basically.
Yeah. I mean, you look at Brian Cox. You start questioning him about aspects of the moon, and he gets very perturbed quite easily, and he vehemently.
Yeah, you can see him getting triggered when someone was talking about the moon landing, in the car, and then they was getting really defensive, and then they were saying, "No, it was just a joke."
throwaway line.
Yeah,
He said, "Well, have you read the script?" No, I haven't.
and it was thank God for that.
Here's an interesting wee thing we were talking about. Remember, we were talking about the craters on the moon earlier on, and I was like, we should find out who named them. Well, here's a wee short thing, right? Craters constitute 95% of all named lunar features. Usually, they are named after deceased scientists and other explorers. This tradition comes from Giovanni Battista Riccioli, who started it in 1651. Since 1919, assignment of these names is regulated by International Astronomical Union. There we go. That was it.
Makes sense.
I just wanted to know who the fuck, I'm just that. Yeah.
That's
I didn't think
the date they started to assign names, isn't it, Ali? Back in the mid 16th century.
Well, this is what I'm saying. I was talking to ages ago to Marshall from Dale's channel, and we were actually looking, thinking, isn't it fucking funny as fuck? Do you know, it's like in the 1500s, the sort of middle of the 1500s to the end of the 1600s. There does seem to be a big explosion in that kind of stuff. You know, where things started really going. Philosophers coming out and science, and it did kind of kick off in that era. Definitely in that era. So
I say the Italian Renaissance was fake.
Yeah.
I say because if it comes before 15, that's a reason why.
Yeah, Renaissance.
Yeah, but it was beginning then, Pete. See, that's what I'm saying. In the mid 1500s, it seems to kind of. If you look at paintings, don't you? If you have a look at paintings of people before, like the 1600, the mid 1500s, 1600s, they're like children's drawings, and then all of a sudden, it's like fucking beautiful faces and all this kind of shit. Something weird went on in a space of like 10, 20 years, man. Suddenly, these artists were fucking doing all this amazing detail and all this, man. It was strange, but if you look at it, it's really, really strange, the comparison just in the space, like when the Botticellis came out and all these people.
And I was saying, Ali, that because they even attribute these paintings to, say, let's say the mid 16th century, 1550s or something, I'm saying that that's even a fabrication itself.
Now, that could be, Pete.
After that, you know what I mean? And they're backdating everything. I mean, it's a crazy world, isn't it?
Yeah, but if you watch if you actually look at the progression of art according to their dates, there's like, honestly, it's like coming from the dark ages and suddenly everybody can paint. Are you fucking joking, man? Weird. It's certainly weird when you look at it,
It's an amazing thought, isn't it? And that's one of the most amazing thoughts. Actually, a couple of amazing thoughts through all of this. One of them is that instead of like the trillions and trillions of miles and billions and millions of light years that we're supposed to be able to see when we look up stars, all we can see is a few fucking short 1,000 miles, in any direction, So
I think so as well. I don't think it's very far up there at all, man.
What an amazing thought, yeah. But the other one is, Ali, that everything, including all of our fabricated history, mightn't go back any further.
Well, you're thinking of 111.1 kilometers or something.
Right, that's another one regarding why they picked the 111.1 kilometers for 1 degree of latitude. I'm thinking
69 miles per 1 degree of latitude. Yeah,
I'm probably thinking that's the average height of the barrier above us or something like that. But
and it might at the highest point got to 88 miles. Yeah,
I don't think it's much more than that, though. I tell you that, I really don't.
But it's something I wanted to ask you, Pete, about the history of the Earth and what it's supposed to have been and timescales. Now, I'd been watching a guy called Subphotonic. I'm not sure if you've heard of him.
I think I've heard of him, but I don't recall seeing any of his stuff, Chris.
Oh no, he's got some on his channel about Titans.
Right.
And the giant trees,
right.
These mesas.
Oh yeah, he's into that blood. I think he's into that blood over intent thing. I'm not sure, but
probably did watch some of his stuff then. But
it's quite intriguing. It's
it has to be so. Chris, what are your own thoughts on the giant trees? That's sort of an integral part to my thinking. Right, definitely.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up. Yeah, these mesas that you get. You look around the perimeters of the mesas, and
I think he's been on Postman Pat's show or something. I don't know. I didn't see it. But
no,
yeah, you know what I'm talking about. It was because someone put it in the chat or something.
Yeah. No, that whole notion is intriguing, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, the giant trees, that's as I said, part and parcel of my thinking. And
I thought you meant the idea of Postman Pat, you know.
that's when Patricia's
Really intriguing.
been very open about the talk against her, or the accusations made against her recently, which is fair enough, I guess. I think she has to remember, though, we didn't bring any of this stuff to the table. It was brought to the table by somebody who was intimate with her and near and dear to her. So you can't criticize a man for questioning, and especially in flat Earth as well. I think most of us are just about truth. So anything that seems a bit dodgy, you have to start questioning it, right? The idea of giants and giant trees. Well, if you have trees spanning 60 miles up into the sky, you can just imagine the life forms and the monstrosities associated with such great spans. But yeah.
Well, remember Jack and the Beanstalk. Remember the fairy tale Jack and the Beanstalk. You know, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
I mean, these some of these trees, the stumps are 2.5 miles across. You know, and it's just not trees. It's just not trees. He reckons that the silica life forms that were here were actually densified. Yeah, so you have whole mountain ranges which are actually densified giants. He reckons that we're living all over densified.
Well, I've seen that it's just kind of
mud fossil.
like over time that they've kind of what you call it, like
erosion.
Well, probably that it's just it sort of becomes harder and harder to tell that it's giants. I mean because if the trees were 60 miles tall, then how tall would the people have had to have been?
It's chop them down, yeah.
Because it was interesting, because what Billy Sunday was talking about a while ago, and how that people wouldn't have hit puberty until about 100 to 150 years old or something like that. If people lived several hundred years, maybe that's what happened once upon a time, and there might be some truth to that.
Yeah, there's one geologist as well who's actually gone through and got these rocks and he's chipped away at them and he's found like the inner ear.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. It's mad, yeah, So there's a lot of stuff out there.
Once you get to flat Earth.
Well, so is the ear like a sort of cave?
As part of an ear, he's found a heart and all sorts, densified heart. You literally see veins in the rock. It's ridiculous.
Well, some people think that oil is the blood of the earth.
Well, I think the oil is naturally reoccurring, or it's replenishing itself. Yeah, I don't think it's.
So it's like an infinite supply. Well, not infinite supply, but like.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I do as well. Yeah, I'm more and more convinced.
Yeah, it's a bacterial agent. It's not fossilized, or it's not old vegetation and animals that have been compressed. It's a given, if you like. It's a given.
Yeah, I think it's a necessity because of what it is underneath us. It has to it has to be. You know what I mean? It's like it was born out of necessity. It was, if you were to say, designed. It's part of the system, and it's some kind. I don't know what it. Yeah, but
which is why I believe. Yeah. Which is why I think that anything that's from this environment goes back to it, and this whole global warming thing is a load of bollocks.
It's bollocks, man. That's fucking stupid. I was on a hangout with that spaceman, and he was going on about global warming. And I just that's fucking crazy, man. But he's so convinced, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. But it was he's one of many. I've got a friend exactly like him. Yeah,
you might want to go buy a ticket and see, that Bill Nye, the actor guy,
Well, here's a funny story, right? I was on I don't think he remembers this, but a couple of months ago, the World Science Festival, it was the 2017, that's where you get Brian Greene and all that giving talks, and there was something on every sort of night. So I was on because I was sort of watching away. I was in two minds whether I should troll or maybe just ask, just sound as if I'm asking questions. So I actually started talking to the guy that was moderating the channel, right? And it was the World Science Festival dude, right? And we were talking away. Now this spaceman, he came in just out of the blue and he goes, "You fucking retard," or says something like that. He got banned immediately. It was just because he spotted me, and I was laughing like fuck because I made a video about 6 months previous about I said quantum physics explained in 3 minutes, and I just explained exactly what it was. It's probability, and he came on. He left a comment on, and as I say, this was like 6 months before, a couple of months ago, and he said he left a comment and just said "fucking idiot" like that, and I just laughed, And then the next time I met him, he came in and he was actually going in there to listen to the show, and he got banned straight away, man. He was just made one comment, called me a retard, and he just got kicked. I was there to troll, and he was there to listen, and he was the one that got banned. Talk about irony, man. You know what I mean? There is, there's karma, and there really is, I thought I'd piss myself laughing. I thought, that's the irony, but,
Excellent.
There you go. So. But there's plenty of people out there like that are there. I mean, and he just, it was another thing he was on about was protocols, HTTPS and all that. And I said it was a protocol, and then he was like, no, it's not a thing. And then I mentioned Unix, and most people know that, that's the original, all operating systems are based on that. That's where they developed them from. It's the kind of same language. And I pointed that out to him. He's like, no, it's not even an operating system, and started going on about Macintoshes, this and that and that, and all I said was, it's the base operating system, it's where it derives from.
Yeah, but Unix was a platform for C.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but that was invented. Yeah, that came out in the 70s. But it's still it's all based on it though, Chris. Even Max, that's the fun. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And he was going on about, you've got C++ and all this. Now you've got that C++ kind of thing. Yeah. And then well, that's what it was anyway. But it just they're that adamant in the.
What's this C++ thing? I'm sure I've seen that somewhere.
It's just I'll go and you explain, Chris. You'll probably know it. Well, you will know it better than me.
Yeah, it's a program language. So whereas instead of writing lines and lines of code, like as you do in C++, if you're starting to write a program from scratch for an embedded system, then you can have a library full of all your instructions, and then just run Unix with sort of like basic commands, which actually takes all the C+ or C++ commands and puts it all together. Linux is the same thing again,
Well, that's what I use. I use that. Yeah.
Is it Linux? So Linux.
Linux. Yeah.
Let's call the whole thing off.
But I use Linux. Or Linux. I use Linux. So
apparently it's the big one.
That's why I knew a little bit. But as I say, he was saying stuff, and as I say, I'm not an expert on it. But in my memory, I knew what I was talking about, kind of thing. But I couldn't go into the precision like he went into, kind of thing. But I do know the system kind of thing.
Yeah, but when I used Linux to configure the Blade servers, you've got these were Xeon servers, but I mean you've got Linux for Windows, haven't you? Which is probably what you're using, Ali.
No, this is not Windows. No,
it's not for Windows.
That's Ubuntu. No, I don't work on Windows. No, it's Ubuntu.
Oh, okay.
Which is like Linux. It's a Linux operating system, but it's Ubuntu. That came from. It's just it's nothing to do with Windows. I don't. My system isn't Windows at all. It's totally. It's open source. It's that open source thing.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing about it, right? Is because I think it's 1% of 1%. I think people that use computers only use the Linux system. So it's unhackable, right? It's just that no hacker can be fucking bothered hacking 150 computers. If they're going to hack something, they want to bring down huge, and that's why Windows always gets attacked. Yeah. And Linux, people that use Linux, it's very rare I get a virus or anything. Well, I've never had a virus, and I've been using it for about 7 years, 8 years. I've never had one bit of problem off this at all, or ever had to, reboot my... The only thing it doesn't do is, I can't go back in time. I can't remember what you call it. You can do it in Windows, where you go back to a specific date.
Yeah.
And what's that called again? Fuck it. Not defrag. Blah, blah, blah. I used to do it myself when I did have Windows one time many years ago, until my mate put me on
Ubuntu.
System restore is a...
That's it. That's the baby. There you go. Nice one.
Restore point. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Exactly.
Was it restoring to an earlier point?
Yeah, before it crashes.
Yeah, that's because I've done that a few times because like when something happens and like you have to kind of restore it back to like an earlier point, and
but you have to watch how many times you do that because it can fuck up. You can end up ending up with broken files and all that, and you end up with.
Why does it corrupt the files sometimes?
Yeah, some of it. If you do that, it does. It's not the best, but it works. So as I say, it's probably a very rare occasion, but that it can.
Well, I suppose it's better than doing factory reset, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ouch.
Everything.
I had to do this thing like a couple of times. This command thing where you have to like type in something.
Yeah, command
to flush DNS or something.
Oh, that's Chris. There you go. That's one for you, I think, mate.
Because you have to like put it in like a command thing, and because you
open up a terminal.
Sometimes what happened was like that. Like when you try and type stuff in and then you press on like a site and it doesn't load, so I had to go to command and type in a command to flush DNS, and it went back to you. Obviously you've got to I think you've got to start it up again when you do that, so if anyone has that problem, then that you just have to there'll be obviously a video, but it's not that hard to do.
No, it's not. When Windows is usually sophisticated enough to actually resolve issues like that on a boot up, especially if you boot up.
Why is it a bit more complicated on the Mac, or does it not really happen on them?
I couldn't tell you about a Mac, to be honest. I've never really had to.
Because they say that they haven't got as many problems like viruses and stuff like that. I don't know if that's true, but then again, maybe Linux, whatever. Maybe that one's the best one to kind of go for.
Oh well,
you can.
Sorry, just one thing with my mate. He was like bumming up Ubuntu, saying, "Oh, this is the one," and blah blah this and that. I thought, "Oh, right, great." I decided, as I always do, look in, and I found
Linux fanboy.
I found out though that one of the big investors in the company was Richard Branson. I went, fuck, man, you know what I mean? It's like they're everywhere. So as I say, when they say it's unhackable and all that kind of shit, it's just nobody can be bothered doing it. It's as vulnerable as any other system. But as I say, I've not had any.
It's more tedious a process, shall we say? Then
no, not really, because it's just the same. It's still clickable.
Well, why is it not? Why would no? If it's just as easy, then why are people not doing it?
Well, because people, there's no people that hack things. It's all about ego, innit? Oh, I brought down five computers today. Whoop-de-doo. But when you're attacking like a Windows system or whatever, you're bringing down a load more people than you would if you just done a Linux based attack.
Yeah, well,
rather than a Windows based attack. You're getting a large and you can see.
Oh, so it's more like that.
It's ego.
Kudos.
Kudos, exactly. Yeah.
It's like they can get more out of a Windows attack.
Oh well, they get more cred, don't they? You know what I mean?
They get more kicks out of it, shall we say?
Yeah. So I think so. When people, because they do bum up that Linux and their Ubuntu and all this kind of thing, I use it right enough, and as I say, I've not had any problems. But it's just my theory is that the only reason that nobody really bothers fucking going for it is because of the fact is there's no, it's 1% of the users of computers around the world use the system. So what the fuck? Nobody can be bothered. You know what I mean? There's no big news and that kind of thing. So I think that's the only reason it's kind of half safe. But
yeah, and also Linux it uses less apps. So what people tend to use it for is something slightly different than what, say, a person would be using a Windows PC for.
Well, we use it. It's like the way it was put to me, and I thought that's a good idea. What it does is, if you want, it's like you actually you're communicating with your computer. So when you type in, you go to your monitor screen, and you do your command prompts and all that kind of thing, and you're actually talking to your computer, so you're going to direct.
This might be a weird question. Is deep web safer on Linux?
Is what?
Deep web safer on Linux?
Well, well, I don't know really, but I know you need to get that Tor program. You need to download Tor, and then you're on the web. That's you on the web. That's you actually on it, decent. You know, the proper.
Is that Thor in Irish? Tor.
Yeah. But there you go. But yeah, I mean, the good thing, the reason it attracted me is because, you know, you could type in commands. Sometimes I'll open up just instead of, you know, going to my icon, my VLC player icon. Sometimes I'll just open up the monitor screen and just tell it to grab a file and start playing it.
Yes, it's just a shortcut, really, isn't it?
It's quite easy. You know, it's not really hard. It's only hard when you start programming, but to actually open up programs by typing in a command, it's quite easy. You know, it's not as complicated, and it's, as I say, it just gets you closer in touch with your computer. You know what's happening, kind of thing.
Yeah, you just have more of a relationship with your computer.
Oh, easy now. No, man. I let's not go. That conversation sounds as if it's going to devolve. I think we'll just. But anyway, but you know a shitload more than I do about computers, Chris. So.
I'm going to bow out. Sorry, I'm just going to.
Yeah, I'm going to be wrapping up myself. I think
it's been cool talking, and
what are you getting fed up with the talk about computers?
No, man, no. I was going to head away anyway, Jamie, because we've been talking for ages. But
it's been a while. It's been
it's been cool.
5 hours.
It's been cool, and I look forward to looking at your hangout, Ali, most recent one. See what you have to say there. But otherwise, I wish you well, and until the next time.
All right,
Pete.
Good night.
Yeah, right.
Cheers, buddy.
It's 1:30 here. It must be 2:30 where you are, Ali.
And that's why I was thinking it was a good call by Pete there. I'm getting a bit spaced out myself anyway. So.
Or as Del says, I'm on a wee smoke. I'm flagging a bit.
Exactly. I'm flagging. I'm actually flagging. Yeah. Yeah, but I've been up since 7:00 this morning. I've been out with the boy playing golf.
I wonder that's like almost 24 hours.
Up feeding the horses. I took my boy up to work with me today. I'd show. Well, he knew where I was work, but I took him up to. We took some apples up to the horses and stuff like that, and I was playing golf with him. So I'm fucked, man. I just we're out in the fresh air all day, so I need to get to my scratcher. All right, Chris, Jamie.
All right, buddy.
Yeah, nice one. I will speak. I'll speak. I might give you a buzz tomorrow, Chris.
All right, buddy. No worries.
All right, Jamie.
Yep.
Nice one, mate. Thanks again, and good night to everybody in the chat. And I hope I annoyed the fuck out of the lot of you bunch of tossers. Only kidding. Peace and love.
yeah, please.
All right, dude. Bye.
Right.
Good night.
Good night.
All right, cheers, Jamie. Thanks for having me on, mate, and good night to all.
Yeah, cheers again. It's been good.
It has been good. Nice to see Pete back as well.
Yeah, it's good when it's like this. Yeah.
All right, mate. Take it easy.
Yeah, you too. Yeah, cheers, everybody. We'll be back again during the week sometimes. Peace out.